I'm feeling fantastic. I'm sorry, Kaz. That was a little too loud, I'm sure, for you, but I am feeling fantastic on this Victory Monday, episode number 66 of Stats Over Politics. I'm Shaun alongside my guys, Jaevon Toddy, Kevin Dent, Garry Singh is at work. And so joining us again this week, gentlemen, you guys just heard me shout him out, is none other than Mr. Kaz Johnson of Kazzybear TV, noted Eagles fan. Kaz, thank you for joining us once again.
Yeah, man. We got to do it. It's that simple, man. So everybody that's tuning in already sees the title. They know what's going down, and it's just one of them situations where I'm like, you can't always talk the talk, man. You got to walk the walk, and then let's just get to it, man. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it. Jaevon, how are you feeling?
Was there like a game over the weekend or something like that? Why is everyone so? What's all the hostility here? I'm just trying to figure it out. I thought it was just a normal.
Who's hostile?
Nah, there is no hostility. We're probably with two of the chillest Eagles fans out there.
Thought it was just a normal weekend, just football, and then I guess the Niners and Eagles play. Is that what everyone's the whole talk is about? Is that what's going on here?
Oh my gosh!
Is it the college football playoff that everyone's so worked up about? What is it? I'm trying to figure it out.
Kevin and I don't think about it.
I don't think hostility is the word. Some things happen. We're gonna say that some things happen. Some things happen. Some words were said, and some things happen. So, yeah.
And props. You guys heard me laughing in towards the end of Jaevon's last response, and it's just because I was about to repost our Instagram teaser. You can follow us on Instagram at Stats Over Politics. And shout out to Kevin, because I didn't even put this title on it. Kevin was the one that did it. It says episode 66, Cry Eagles Cry. So props to you, Kevin.
Podcast always comes first, man. Podcast always comes first.
We appreciate you for that. So Kevin, you're the only one we haven't heard from yet.
Kevin doesn't believe that.
If Kaz wouldn't have came on, it would have been Kevin's funeral.
And he messaged me. I'm like, man, we both got to take this one, bro. We gotta, if we really are the fans that we claim to be, and that just happened, 10 toes down, baby. We got to eat this one, 10 toes down. So we here.
Most definitely, and we appreciate both of you for that. Especially you, Kaz. No shade to Kevin, but Kevin was required to be here. Kaz, you were a guest for us today and last week. And I joked last week that you joined us before the game because you didn't have to be here after we handed you guys an L. I didn't think it'd be a 23-point L. Nevertheless, we appreciate you for joining us this week again, Kaz, to fill in for our guy Garry, who's at work. And anyway, so guys, let's get right to it here on episode number 66 of Stats Over Politics. As the 49ers, Kaz said it, you heard the title, you read the title. The 49ers smashed the Eagles on Sunday. The final score was 42-19. And so, Jaevon, I'm going to toss it to you first. because
Wait,
myself,
we have a guest on.
Toddy, follow the rules of the host, man. You did this last week. Just follow. Sean has a master plan, Toddy. Just follow the plan, man. Stop trying to follow.
And our fellow Eagle fans here, we need to make sure that they need to get the things that they had off their chest, because a lot was said. We had predictions kind of come on. We had 38-7. We had the Eagles are going to win by double digits. So I just want to know how they feel, coming out of the link, and those fellow Eagle fans there, and just all the Eagle fans across the country. You're speaking for all Eagle fans right now, so we would like to know.
Well, then,
what
if
the
that's
plan
the case,
was.
I guess I gotta go first.
Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. We just want to know what happened when you guys got punched in the mouth.
Is this you passing me the mic? All right. So, like Toddy mentioned, I am speaking for all of the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's take things back a step. We woke up this morning, cut the crust out of my eyes. It was a rough night. And then I looked, the standings. How many 10-win teams are there, Kaz?
I mean, I'm not the best at math, but I believe there's one.
Okay.
I mean, you guys can fact check me.
Yeah, we can. Go ahead and fact check us on that. But it was supposed to be, the gauntlet. This is what everyone was looking for all season. Started off 6-0. Where everyone was like, or 5-0. Excuse me, 5-0. Thank you for the correction. Everyone, was routing us, saying that this is the gauntlet. This is what it's supposed to be. So, Cowgirls, W. Patrick Mahomes, better quarterback than Jalen Hurts, W. We got the Madden boy. Everyone says it's better than Jalen Hurts, W. So, coming into this show, when we did the preseason analysis, I said we were going to lose one of these games. I was hoping and praying it wasn't to the Niners, but it is what it is. We're going to be all right. The biggest thing that I took away from this game is we came in and said, we're the NFC champs. They got to beat us. And it started from the jump. Niners ran through the line. Niners wore all black. Well, that's what the caption said. There was only 4 players, but we can title it as Niners wore all black. But first 2 drives, -6 yards for the Niners.
First quarter.
We score, or we don't get 2 field goals. Niners, next 2 possessions, go down and get touchdowns. It comes down to execution, fellas, at the end of the day. Like after the Super Bowl, I know everyone was expecting me to come in here, blame the refs, blame A, B, C, and D. It comes down to execution. 12 straight drives before our first drive of this game ended in 6. You can take it up as the Niners. You can take it up as Jalen tripping over himself. You can take it up as whatever you may be. Everyone was showing me pictures of the Quez Watkins pass, saying that it was pass interference. They didn't call it. We have to move on, fellas. That's not the reason we lost this game. Everyone's sending me clips of the Reed Blankenship quote-unquote holds. They didn't call it. Ladies and gentlemen, if they would have called it, they still would have scored. It would have just made us more upset. Looking at this from an offensive perspective, you guys came out and said Jalen Hurts beat us with his arm. Every play was cover 4. Jalen had nothing but time back there. He had so much time, he is tripping over his own shoes. You guys, we talked about this week 1 when everyone was talking about Jalen Hurts not putting up the numbers. People were scheming to make Jalen Hurts play against the zone. We're going to take away your 1st and 2 option and make you throw the ball to your tight ends. We did not have a single tight end reception this game. That killed us. We had 9 runs that weren't from Jalen Hurts. That's unacceptable. I come in here week in, week out, talk about our rush game, talk about how efficient our O-line is. What are we going to do if we're going to run it 9 times? We came in and we were too big play heavy from the jump. We wanted to come in, we wanted to make a stand, all the adrenaline, and it really took until the famous incident of Greenlaw punching our security guard, literally until we got punched in the mouth, for the Eagles to want to play with some juice. Everyone's screaming, AJ and Ward are getting into it, and then the next snap we went for 2, and I saw AJ kind of just freak out. I knew it was over. You guys are getting into Jalen Carter's head. He's on the sideline crying. We really got wrapped up in the emotion, and it showed. The Niners came out, stayed 10 toes down. So I'm not going to come on here and blame A, B, C, and D. It wasn't our best night. I'm sure of the 4 of us, and we can count 5 of us, including Garry, knew this was going to be a 2-round fight, and you guys won the first round. So the better team won, and I have no problem saying that.
All right, Kaz, let's hear from you then.
I mean, Kev said it best, man. Like, it's the better team won last night. It's that simple. And you look at the Eagles, and you look at the stats. You look at the Niners, their stats. You could try to pick. Well, this is the reason why this happened. This is the reason that happened. But at the end of the day, dude, 42-19, that's an ass whooping. That is 110% an ass whooping. And we can talk hypotheticals all day. We can do that. But at the end of the day, the 49ers, somehow, some way, man, they talk the talk and they walk the walk. On a level that as an Eagles fan, for as long as I've been an Eagles fan, I have never seen an ass whooping like that, given the talent of our team. We've got our ass beat when, we've been kind of down bad, guys hurt, whatever. That's happened in the past. But there was no excuse. There was zero excuse, and they showed up and they stood on business. I mean, 110%. You can't be mad about that as a fan. You just can't. And what I mean is, like, we know who we are. We're 10-2. We're still the best team in the league right now, record-wise. And we have Dallas next week. I know Jaevon's laughing right now. We got Dallas next week. Okay. Then we have Seattle. And then we have New York, Arizona, New York. Okay, to finish the season. To look at what we saw last night and to say that's who we are, I'm not losing any sleep on that. That's not who the Eagles are. And the 49ers played probably their best game of the season, and we played arguably one of our worst. And I don't think it's because of what the 49ers did necessarily. They came in with a chip on their shoulder, and we came in and we were a little too friendly with it, and we didn't realize, it's really like that. The players, you're seeing it with the players. You're seeing it when the Niners came out, they walked straight through the Philadelphia Eagles whole warm-up, walk through. Like, I mean, it was like they walked through them like, yo, today's not the day. And Philadelphia was a little bit too lackadaisical. So, I mean, I look at it like this. When I see a beat down 42-19, and I'm like, okay, it's any given Sunday. We all know that. You guys got, whooped by a team that you had. Who do you guys lose to? The Bengals, right? You guys lost to the Bengals, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the
Browns.
true loss.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I was gonna say that. Go ahead.
But regardless, you lost to the Bengals, and it was significant. You guys lost. And you look at Dallas losing to Arizona. You look at Kansas City losing to Denver, and Week 1 losing to Detroit, who is very real. But Week 1, nobody saw that coming. Good teams, unfortunately, they suffer losses like that at some point in the season. It happens every year. It just happens. It just so happened that this was the game that was the NFC Championship rematch. It was a little bit too perfectly plotted out for you guys to win the way you did. And that's why Jaevon has the smile that he has right now, of course. But it just is what it is, man. It's there's nothing you can say about it. It's an ass whooping. I don't think that in a 7-game series, it's going to look like this every time. And a lot of times when it comes to NFL games, and I see beatdowns like this when it comes to good teams, I always look at it from basketball. 7-game series, who do you think wins that series, and how does it look? This ain't how this game's going to pan out in a 7-game series. That's all I'm going to say. I'll take
Eagles
the loss.
5.
I'll take the loss. I'll take the ass whooping. I'll take the ass whooping at home. And Debo, I mean, he earned a lot of respect from me. Stood on fucking business, period.
Debo sure did. And Kaz, I just wanted to respond to a couple of points that were made before I pass the mic over to Jaevon. First thing I would respond to is I disagree that I don't think it was the 49ers' best win of the season their best performance of the season, because this is the 49ers' 4th win of the season by 20+ points. And then in another 4 of those games, they won by double digits. And so 8 out of 9 wins, I think, have been by double digits. And so, anyways,
how many of those against the number 1 seed in the NFC?
Well, and that's the point that I was going to say is, yes, the level of talent is pretty impressive. But I mean, the 49ers, they beat the Cowboys by 32 points, and the Cowboys are now, technically they're the 5th seed in the NFC, but they're the 3rd best team in the NFC record-wise when you compare the head-to-head schedules. And I also just want to say that I thought it was funny how Kevin mentioned the gauntlet that the Eagles have. And he said, I didn't want one of those losses to be against the 49ers. But Kevin, the same guy who said that the Eagles would win 38-7, is also the same guy who said that this game wasn't even circled on the schedule for Philadelphia or any Eagles fans. But yet you were looking ahead at this gauntlet thinking to yourself, I don't want one of those losses to be against the 49ers, but yet you didn't circle the game at all.
That has nothing
make
to
it make
do
sense.
with that. Make it make sense. I have to come on here on Mondays and now Fridays and deal with the two of you. That's the reason I didn't want it to come against you guys. It wasn't because we beat you in the NFC Championship. If you guys would have been fucking Steelers fans, last week, week 2 would have been a game like, all right, we just can't lose to them. We can go 1-16. As long as we don't lose to you guys, I'll sleep at night. That's the only reason it wasn't as big of a deal. But it was your guys' Super Bowl. Last time we played, we walked away with a trophy. So,
and I will say this real quick before you go, Shaun. You mentioned not the biggest win of the season, but I'm gonna have to disagree with your disagreement. It was the biggest win of your season because guess what? You did beat the Cowboys 10-42 at home. It's way different going to the hostile environment that is Philadelphia. I mean, let me tell you
hostile 3 quarters.
Let me tell you something real quick. I go to a few Eagles games a year, usually on the regs, okay? And I had people I'm from the Midwest that ask me, literally, hey, me and my wife or my kids were thinking about going to an Eagles game. Is it safe to go to the city? What's it? I'm like, first off, I'm not from Philadelphia. So, but what I'll say is this: it's not what it's all hyped to be. Like, you're not gonna get, drugged through the streets by your toenails. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like that. Just as long as you stay in your lane and don't do anything crazy, it's a regular game. But what I'll say is this: it's known to be a very hostile place to play, and the fact that you guys came to Philadelphia and did that against the number 1 team in the NFL, yes, that was your biggest win of the season. So again, we can agree to disagree on that all day. That was your biggest win of the season by far. That just completely changed your entire team's demeanor moving forward. You guys already knew you're good. Nobody was questioning that. Nobody was saying the 49ers are trash. Nobody was saying that you guys weren't going to make the playoffs or anything like that. You guys were going to win your division. We all knew that. Anybody who knows football knew that the Niners were going to be good. You guys beat the Cowboys. That's a big win. Okay. You guys are going to win your division, like I just said, and you just beat the Eagles. That right there just completely changed the entire image of your team moving forward. Now, how you fare with that in the playoffs, that's what really matters, which is why, Kevin and I, we're going to take this one on the chin and we're going to move forward 100%. Playoffs matter, not this shit that happened in the regular season. But at the end of the day, I still will eat it. We did talk a lot of big talk, and there's nothing that needs to be said. But this was definitely your guys' best one.
Before I pass it off to Shaun, everyone knows Shaun and I have a $100 bet. The whole game, you can ask my wife, I'm sitting there like this. What was it? Look up on ESPN. Okay. So I was like, you know what? We're getting our ass kicked. That's the last thing I need is to see Shaun Holko request for Apple Pay. That would have sent me off, and I don't think I would have shown my face on Monday. But you know what? I'll just take one ass whooping. And Shaun beat me in fantasy because Christian Kirk got hurt. So Shaun owns Kevin this week.
I guess so. But Kevin Dent Sr. wants to know, is that an Eagles jersey, son? No, it's not an Eagles jersey, but also our guy James said, no Eagles jersey today, Kev. And also for everyone.
Jersey.
So just for
last week.
No shades, no Eagles jersey, nothing.
Shades was told last season.
And just for our audience to know before we pass it over to Jaevon to drop the mic, Kaz has already paid up his end of the bet. He tagged us all in a video that you can see on Twitter. And it's still up right now. I thought it was going to be up for maybe a couple hours and then he was going to take it down, but props to Kaz, still up over 24 hours later. I even screenshot you with the 49ers jersey on. Kaz, you were just muted, so I didn't hear what you said.
Man of my word, man.
And we appreciate that. And so for our audience, just know that Kevin will be paying up his end of the bet, but we're going to wait a couple weeks until he's back home in Sacramento for all of us together for Kevin to be wearing that jersey. And if Brandon Ayuk if Brandon Ayuk surpasses 1,000 yards on the season by the time that we have that episode, I'm going to be spending the $100 Kevin's going to give me and combining it with the $20 I won from another Eagles fan this weekend, and then the $20 that I took from actually $40 that I took from 2 Cowboys fans weeks ago. So the NFC East could buy me a Brandon Ayuk jersey. So I appreciate all of you for that. Anyways, Toddy, you have been very well. I mean, I'm already $60 in. Now I just need Brandon Ayuk to get another. Like, I'm going to knock on wood because injuries do happen, and he has played over 11 games now. But you know, I feel very confident because, as Kevin was saying, he was checking the stats nonstop throughout the game. Brandon Ayuk's like 100 yards away from hitting 1,000, so he's one big game away from getting Kevin to run me my money. As I was saying, Jaevon, you have been very patient. We heard from the 2 Eagles fans on the panel, and so now let's hear from you as we celebrate this Victory Monday together, you and I.
Oh, tough week for Kev, you know. Duke loses. Ohio State gets jumped through the playoff. And then to top it all off, he was like, "Man, I can't go out like this on Sunday, man. I can't go out like this. You know, it's the Niners coming to the league. This is easy work, man." 42-19. Eagles couldn't even put up 20 points. I mean, just going into the game, you know, Vegas tried to tell everybody. Niners minus 2.5 early. Like the line was set on Monday, like the day of our podcast that we shot last week. The Niners were favored going into it. And I was like, well, Vegas is trying to tell everybody that the Niners are better than the Eagles. Well, maybe the line will move by, you know, Friday. You know, maybe somebody start coming in on the Eagles a little bit. Maybe the line might shift. No, the line actually goes up to 3 points. And I'm just like, wow. There's no way this cannot go on the hotline. So obviously, you know, if you guys did follow, the hotline went 5-1 last week. Another winning week. And the last game on it was the Niners-Eagles game. And, you know, just Trent Williams said it best. I mean, we had a quarterback this time. So, I mean, when you have a running back throwing the ball, when you have a running back throwing the ball in the NFC Championship game, you don't got a shot. You don't have a snowball chance in hell. And even for, you know, Josh Johnson to get knocked out in that game, that was just, I mean, I didn't even think we had a chance then. But ultimately, it was Purdy went out. We never really had a shot. And Debo was, you know, the guy, and Brandon Ayuk, our 2, you know, star receivers, were pretty much the catalyst of the movement of the whole entire offseason, that if Brock Purdy wouldn't have gotten hurt, we would have won that game handedly, pretty easily. And, you know, I didn't really have a doubt in my mind that we would win this game. It was just the wide margin was just, it was filling. It was very fulfilling. It was very much needed. This is pretty much what would have happened in the NFC Championship last game, and we just had to come back and prove it again. You know, when you got guys like Trent Williams, guys like Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Chris McCaffrey, rushed for 114 yards. You know, the Eagles, they're known for, you know, rushing the ball pretty well. 46 yards rushing. DeAndre Swift, non-factor. Kenneth Gainwell, non-factor. I think your best rusher was Jalen Hurts. He had 20 yards rushing and a touchdown. I mean, they needed our star linebacker, Dre Greenlaw, to get ejected for them to actually score a touchdown in the second half. But a security guard, Big Dom, I guess, is like a guy that's well known in the city, community, Philly, like everybody knows him, pushes Dre Greenlaw, and then Dre Greenlaw retaliates, and then he gets ejected. And they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna have to eject the security guard. He's getting ejected out of the game." But you guys are gonna lose your outside linebacker. That was fucking ridiculous, in my opinion. I honestly couldn't believe that was even thought of even happening. I get the Dre Greenlaw deserves a penalty. He's known for slamming niggas on his head multiple times during the game. He's good for at least one personal foul every single game. I get that. But for him to get thrown out of the game was complete madness. And then you have Nick Sirianni trying to talk shit to everybody during the game. And then he's heard at the end of the game, "Hey, man, I'm sorry, man. We belt to ass is what happened." And, you know, I'm trying to text Kevin throughout the entire game. And I'm gonna read a couple of text messages just throughout the game because
before Tony does this, he texts me every week and I don't respond during text messages during football games. I wasn't hiding. I don't respond any week.
Yeah, no, you know, Kevin, this was a different week for him. So, you know, I was just trying to make sure, you know, he texted me early in the morning, you know, just trying to get what my record was, just trying to make sure what was going on, and, you know, and Kev knows that I'm up early, parlaying, trying to figure out what I'm gonna bet on every day. He's trying to make sure, you know, everything's right with the content. This is what's going on. We need to make sure everything's good. I'm like, all right, you know, let me go ahead. I'm gonna build this, and so I'm just gonna read a couple of text messages just early. This is 2:25. I'm just saying, hey, we on y'all ass, Kev. All caps. We on y'all ass. System QB, BA, the Great White Hope. That is Christian McCaffrey, if people do not know who that is. And then I'm saying y'all in trouble. Y'all got to cover CMC too, because y'all forgot that he's not just a guy. He can line up in the slot. Y'all forgot that. I'm on your ass, Kev. Debo, MF, Samuel. Can y'all turn this shit up like for real? Because we need a challenge. This is something like, this is when it's like 35-13. Like, can y'all score, please? Like, y'all got to give me something. Show some life. And then I said, y'all needed that, huh? That was when Trey Greenlaw gets ejected out of the game. So these are cool little timestamps of what's going on throughout the game. And these are all, if you guys have iPhones, you know, when you send a text message, it's all blue. So if you scroll through me and Kev's conversation, it's all blue. There's no response, like no response whatsoever. So I was like, y'all needed that, huh? And I was like, we gonna score anyway. And then I said, we standing on business. Debo really like that. We really like that. And then to top it all off, the stink in the link. That's what the name of this game is going to be called. The stink in the link. I'm going to shout out my cousin. Marcellus gave me that one. The stink in the link is what this game will be remembered as. And, you know, I was really disappointed. I thought this game would have been a little bit closer. I figured we win by double digits, but I didn't think we would win by fucking 20 points, 3 touchdowns. Like, A.J. Brown got the majority of his yards on those first couple of drives. I was like, damn. When AJ caught those first 2 like slants over the middle, and I was like, damn. I kind of reverted back to a couple years ago when he was on Tennessee and he torched us for like 7 for 150. And I was like, damn, is he gonna like torch us the entire game? And then I'm like, all right, so I was like, Devontae Smith's a guy, and then I didn't really fear them like that as the game kind of went on, because we were getting pressure on the quarterback. Kev was like, oh, Jalen Hurts is slipping on his shoelaces. And I'm just like, if you kind of look at it, we got a lot of, like, most of our sacks were coverage sacks because Jalen had nowhere to go with the ball. And you got to give props to guys like Mooney Ward, Diamador Lenore, who almost knocked out DeAndre Swift at the end of the game. Ambry Thomas played well. Jair Brown was making plays. Our backup rookie safety, by the way, because our all-pro safety is out with a torn ACL. And then you got, you know, guys on the other end like Darius Slay, James Bradbury, getting exposed all throughout the defense. And I thought Kevin Byard would have been, you know, a factor in this game because, oh, yeah, we got Kevin Byard. And, you know, Kevin was calling me through. I remember when y'all traded for Kevin Byard, and I was like, oh, that's a solid pickup. Didn't really see him too much. I mean, Purdy threw for 315 and 4 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, yeah. He's the I don't know if y'all know, Brock Purdy is now the leader for odds to be MVP. I don't know, ahead of Jalen Hurts. Leads the league in passer rating and first in this category, air yards. Like, it's just stats over politics, right, guys? It's the name of the show. So I'm just, when you got guys like, you know, Purdy coming in and Trent Williams is over there. I was waiting for somebody to try Trent or somebody try to come at Trent so Trent could slam somebody on his neck again, because that's what happened, you know, last year. And then, Kaz said and Kevin, they're kind of downplaying like, oh, yeah, look into the standings. The standing, we're the number 1 team, and you guys got to come on back. Y'all don't want us to come back to the link. I'm going to say this right.
Please don't speak for us.
Y'all do not want us to come back.
Yeah, don't do that, bro. Don't do that,
y'all
bro.
Hey, man. I might as well. I'm telling y'all right now. Y'all do not want us to come back. Don't make me come back in. Don't make me. I'm telling y'all right now, man. Right now, I feel like this is kind of where the skid is. I don't think the gauntlet's over. I feel like this is kind of just the beginning of, all right, hey, Cowboys are looking at home like, hey, they're a little wounded. Maybe they're not as good as we thought they were because, Dak stepped out of bounds. And, the 2-point conversion and don't make us come back. I think it's in their head now because this was a big game for them, right? This is a rematch, and if they ain't gonna come into our house, we beat them 38 to whatever last year, and this was gonna happen. And I think that game kind of set the are we as good as we really think that we are? Are we supposed to be when we're winning all of these games, going into overtime with Buffalo and having to come back down 10 against KC and, squeaking away with the win against Dallas Cowboys? That shit was not going to happen to us. we not the Buffalo Bills. We are not Kansas City. I told y'all last week, we get a 10-point lead, it's over. We are going to put our foot on you guys' neck, and it's going to be a wrap. Deebo Samuel, all-purpose yards, he had 130 yards. Really felt like he had 250 yards plus. It felt like that. If you would have looked at the stat, you would have just never looked at the stat sheet. A lot of people would have been like, what did Deebo have? 180? Had 2 touchdowns receiving, on a rushing touchdown because, Cav's not a number one receiver, number one receiver. He's not a real wide receiver. He's not this and that. And, I don't know, man. It's just, I heard a lot of talking just from the playoff game last year. And, it's just, it's very relieving because it kind of just validates of what all Niner fans already thought was really going to happen. It just took, a little bit under a year and some change.
11 months. Toddy, I just got to chip in here to say, we've been hearing a lot of talk. We've been hearing this for 11 months. 11 months from the guy from the guy right next to me. We've been hearing this for 11 months. The same guys that said that the Eagles would win on Sunday 38-7. Go ahead, Toddy.
Yeah, 38-7. You guys forgot that Christian McCaffrey was a problem as well. I guess Brock Purdy's still a system quarterback. I don't know if he's going to win the MVP, but he's the favorite right now. So you guys are statistically have the best record in the league right now. But y'all ain't the best team in the league. Come on now, man. You guys know that. Y'all know that.
You are what your record says, right?
Y'all ain't the best team in the league. We're better than you guys.
So I gotta disagree. I gotta disagree with one thing you said.
There's nobody in the league that's better than the San Francisco 49ers right now.
I gotta disagree with one thing you said.
We are in a different class than anybody else. Kansas City just laid an egg in Green Bay last week. You got the Eagles were supposed to be the team, right? Because there's so much talent and it's this, that, and the third. I watched Lane Johnson jump off sides 18 times last night. And that's not even that's just one of the many things that was just so wrong with the Eagles last night. And those DBs, man. Debo's living in their heads rent free.
See, the thing is, real quick, I'm gonna say this. So you said, this was a game, if I'm not mistaken, you said something along the lines of, you guys really wanted to win this game. This is a big game for you guys. No, this is a big game for you guys. Okay? No, listen. Again, I'm gonna always go back to this. I'm gonna go back to this every time because I'm gonna take it on the.
Another game for y'all.
I'm gonna take it on the chin.
It wasn't in circle, Toddy.
We got beat down. I'm gonna say that every time before I make my points. We got beat down. We did 100%. Came in there, popped us straight in the mouth, through the whole skull. Just wow. Yep. Here we are. 49ers. Bang bang. Niner game. Whatever. Cool. But this wasn't a game. We already knew what it was. Listen, we know what it's gonna take to get the number 1 seed. Okay, we're aware of that. The gauntlet's a gauntlet for a reason. We knew that, somewhere within this gauntlet, it ain't, but a good chunk of it is, and we got 1 loss come out of it. I can live with that. I mentioned
another game next week.
I ain't worried about them hoes.
Man, like, do I need to get my broom? Like, are you guys serious?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I'm saying, listen, you know what? I'm not gonna lie to you. My girlfriend, she's in the bedroom, so I'm gonna say this right now. I'm contemplating sneaking and going to that Dallas game. So just know when I go to games, big dog energy. We bring it. So, anyways, I don't know yet. But anyway, what I'm gonna say is this is 10-2. How many teams right now, despite who they lost against, how they lost, would kill to be 10-2 right now? That's every team in the league except for who? The Philadelphia Eagles. And that's that stat right there is the only stat that matters. It doesn't matter what your record is, who you lost to, or anything like that. That first round bye is everything. This is 17 weeks of the season. Okay. So now back in the day, hey, I hear you. Back in the day, right? 16 games in the season, you know what I'm saying? You know, you want to get the first round bye. Cool. An extra week, that adds a lot of stress on teams. And we're looking to go ahead and, you know what? Let's get that extra week off and let these guys play in the wild card round and beat their teams up even more, and then come see us in the link again. I promise you this: we were not aware how personal it really was. We came out we came out with cold feet. We did.
Come on, dude.
We did.
Put this on clip.
Yeah. Hey, listen. No, listen. Listen. Darius Slay out here tweeting, you know, and AJ Brown, fans, you know,
and shit.
All kinds of stuff, right? It's like, bro, listen. Look, nobody on the 49ers team, if I'm not mistaken, you know, can fact check me, was tweeting anything. It was strictly Debo saying, "Yep, we're gonna show up and handle business." That's big dog energy. I think in Philadelphia, low key, I think they were a little like, you know what? Hey, we at home. You know, we're gonna go in here. Oh, damn, it's raining. You know, weather's not ideal, and got a little comfortable, and that happens. It's happened to multiple teams multiple seasons that Tom Brady has been on these one Super Bowls. Where it's like, damn, you're the Patriots. Then all of a sudden they get they ass whooped by, you know, the Dolphins or some team that have nobody's losing to. You know what I'm saying? It just happens, and it's happened a couple times this year alone with your team, with the Cowboys, with the Chiefs, and now with us. And we're 10-2. I promise you, and I mean this when it comes to Philadelphia Eagles Nation. We are good. We are not tripping like how y'all think. Y'all want us to be tripping, but we're not. We're going to take this one and move on. Don't let us go into Dallas and dog walk them, because then it's wraps. And you don't want to see us in the playoffs. I'm going to say it right now. You
y'all
don't want that.
Talking like the season over.
Y'all talking like you just won a Super Bowl. Y'all talking like you just won a Super Bowl.
Me and Shaun left here chilling.
And y'all don't want us to come back. Eagle fans do not want us to. Y'all do not want us.
You don't want to see Jalen Hurts game 7. You don't want to see Jalen Hurts game 7. You do not want to see Jalen Hurts game 7. You don't want to see that.
Why is that, Kaz? Is that because Jalen Hurts is the comeback king?
Man, because he's Kobe reincarnated, baby. You know what? He's gonna take this. Watch, he's gonna take this. He's gonna learn from it, and you're gonna see what happen. You're gonna see. We right back there. We're gonna be right back where we started last year, where we ended last year. I'm sorry. We'll be right back there.
Oh, losing the Super Bowl?
It ain't gonna be like that. But we're gonna be there. But we're gonna be there.
Me lobs.
We're gonna be there. But let me tell you something. Remember this win you guys got, 42-19. You know,
we remember the win y'all got last year.
Hey, listen real quick. We get it. 42-19, beat us in every relevant statistical category. You know, most of our yards and stuff that happened with our skill position players.
Garbage yards.
You know, garbage time. You know, we'll take that. I promise you, when it comes back to the link, this will not be the same Eagles team.
Is it going to be at the link though?
The attitude. It's
sure
yeah.
You sure about
that?
Yeah.
Hey, and the attitude, and the attitude is going to be miles different. So congratulations for you guys coming in and doing what you did. You know what? Stood on business. It just was not at the right time. Playoffs is what matters. Super Bowl appearances matters. And we're going to see who's going to be there.
It was crazy because Sirianni sharing videos of Debo in the offseason. This is what he said about you. This is what he was saying. You going to let him come up into your house and do this to you and take your food off of your plate?
Defend me, my brother. Defend me, bro. Come on, bro. Defend me, man.
That's what
hey, man. Look,
you
got to let them have their day, man.
He was like, yeah, Siri. He was telling them he was showing them videos throughout the week. Like, hey, man, you going to let him talk to you about that? You gonna let him do that? And then you got reporters after the game and Slay going at him saying we're afraid to tackle. DBs don't want to hit Debo. He's scared. He's a Mack truck, man. He's a cheetah built like a Mack truck, and you don't want to tackle him. And I don't know if y'all saw the little inside the NFL. He was like, I was hauling ass on that one. Hey man,
I'll tell you what, Kaz. If this was a phone call, I'd be all in, man. But we got time limits and we got other topics to get into. But we can do this all day. But
no, yeah,
like the captains are saying, what can Kevin say? It was their night. Better team won. We got to come in here. We got to take it. Like I said in my first part, we all knew this was a fight of 2 rounds, and you guys won the first one. So
don't let them boys fuck around and win on Sunday.
Yeah. Hey, say it right. I'm gonna say it right.
I do not like how this week Cowboys fans were Niner fans, the next week Niner fans are Cowboy fans. Like they beat the shit out of y'all, and y'all want to root for them. Blows my mind. Blows my mind. I'm with you. Cheer for either or.
I'm with you, Kev, man. You know what? Like you know, other topics we got to get to or whatever. But at the end of the day, we're gonna take this one and move on. It's that simple. Ain't no team that you guys know of in your lifetime that has gone, you know, 1 loss throughout the season, win a Super Bowl, 2 losses, or what, you know, you got to take one. And we in the gauntlet right now, and we got our first one in the gauntlet. Woohoo. Congratulations. Hey, have your Super Bowl. I'll give you that. No salt. You guys came in and handled business. It was awesome. I ain't gonna lie to you. I would love for that to happen. I mean, it's happened in the past, but I would like that feeling. How you feeling right now? That's a really good feeling, isn't it? It's a great feeling. That's how we felt against New York in the divisional round, and then that's how we felt against you guys in the NFC Championship game. Not just because you lost Brock Purdy, we just beat that ass all the way through. It just was done. It's a good feeling. So enjoy it. Again, it just came at the wrong time. So you know what I'm saying. Remember this video and just make sure that when it comes to playoffs, you two are eating them words. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh yeah, we'll see y'all again. This is we'll be at home this time, so we'll see y'all again. I know we'll see them again, but we're gonna be at home this time. It's not gonna. They gotta go on the road, and they're gonna be in Santa Clara. That's so.
Well, Kaz, I hope that you hold on to that NFC Championship win for as long as you possibly can. Hope you even bought a T-shirt. I have some NFC Champion shirts that were followed up by a Super Bowl loss. I know it can be tough, but I hope you hold on to that for a long time, because it wasn't just 49ers fans who were saying that the NFC Championship win was basically invalidated. I even heard Stephen A. Smith go on TV today, and he's a guy who is a Pittsburgh fan. I think he typically leans towards rooting for Pennsylvania. We know he hates the Cowboys, but he went as far to say that this win yesterday just completely erases that NFC Championship game completely, because even though Kaz said, oh, we beat that ass, it wasn't just because Brock Purdy wasn't there. It was completely because Brock Purdy wasn't there. I'm not going to tell you that. I'm not going to go as far as some 49ers fans to say, oh, if Brock Purdy was in that NFC Championship game, they win 42-19. I don't think that happens. I think it's a close game. I personally, maybe it's my bias, but I personally think the 49ers would have won that NFC Championship game in a close game, but I don't think it would have been a blowout. But also, it kind of does erase and invalidate that NFC Championship win.
It's because we got Jaevon Hargrave. That's why we won.
Or Chase Young.
They can't erase it when the banner still hangs.
Oh, well, that's cute that you guys hang NFC Championship banners. We got 5 Super Bowl banners. We don't have room for NFC Championship banners.
Or Kittle or Debo. Okay, we were all TV.
Hey, how many do I have since I was born, Kevin?
Okay,
Zero. Guess what? Doesn't matter. You see that right there? 49ers awesome. 55-10. 4 for 4. They went to 4 straight Super Bowls, actually 5 straight Super Bowls, and they won them all. They didn't have a loss up until 2013 when they lost to the Ravens in the Super Bowl. Life as a 49ers fan has been tough for Jaevon and I, born in 1998. But guess what? This is the year that they win a Super Bowl in our lifetime. So then Eagles fans can no longer say, oh, don't talk to me. You haven't seen your team win a Super Bowl in your life. Don't talk to me. Well, guess what? It's going to happen this year. And you guys keep talking about, oh, every team in the NFL would rather be 10-2 than whatever their record is. That is correct. But the 49ers, they got the next best thing. They're 9-3, and they not only have a tiebreaker on the Eagles, they also have a tiebreaker on the Cowboys with that head-to-head win. So regardless of what happens next week, yeah, as 49ers fans, we are rooting for Dallas because we want to reclaim that number 1 seed and make it easy. And so, yeah, as James said, oh, for sure, we're Cowboys fans this week. And
we the boys.
His brother Julian said, I love to see the Eagles fall. And so, yeah, Kevin, all of us are collectively hating on the Eagles together.
On Shaun Jackson Day, though. It was
on Shaun Jackson Day. And so I just wanted to touch on a couple things that haven't been mentioned so far. I know that Kevin mentioned at the very beginning how after the end of the first quarter, the Eagles were up 6-0 because they couldn't take advantage of their red zone opportunities while the 49ers, they later on did, as the 49ers scored a touchdown in 6 consecutive drives. But that first quarter, it was rough. The Niners had -6 total yards at the end of the first quarter. They had the ball for 2 minutes and 3 seconds, while the Eagles had it for nearly 13 minutes, and the 49ers averaged -1 yard a play. And so what did they do? They woke up. They scored a touchdown in 6 consecutive possessions. As Jaevon mentioned, Deebo Samuel had himself a game. The phrase that keeps being said is stood on business. He wore all black going into that game. And a stat that I thought was really cool is Deebo Samuel is the only wide receiver in NFL history to make a Pro Bowl or an All-Pro team when having more career rushing touchdowns than receiving touchdowns. And so that just continues to prove how versatile Deebo is. I absolutely love to see it. Brock Purdy, as has been mentioned, he is now the front runner to win MVP. That's just because it's a quarterback award at this point. I'm not going to be advocating for Brock Purdy as the MVP because I think Christian McCaffrey should be the MVP. Like, until they just call it the quarterback award or say the award is only for quarterbacks and they actually come out and say it, it's already understood. But until the NFL actually just says point blank it's a quarterback award, I'm going to continue to advocate for Christian McCaffrey in this season. But Brock Purdy, he started yesterday's game 0 for 4, and he ends up finishing the game 19 of 23 for 314 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, handed the Eagles their first home loss. And as Jaevon mentioned earlier, he ranks first in several categories. Brock Purdy is first in passer rating, completion percentage, touchdowns, 2 attempts, yards per attempts, and yards for completions. And so Brock Purdy, yeah, I guess he's just a system quarterback. Brock Purdy, he continued to show how great he truly is. And, you know, in these games, the 49ers have dominated the NFC East, and I just absolutely love to see it. Christian McCaffrey, he became the first 49er since 2014 to surpass over 1,000 rushing yards on the season. First to do it since Frank Gore. And the other thing that hasn't been mentioned is that the 49ers beat the Eagles so bad, Jaevon, that they went out and signed Shaq Leonard today. So congratulations to the Eagles for that.
They need reinforcements.
Kevin, you remember how I acted after the Eagles lost in the Super Bowl? I'm going to consider this Shaun light for right now because, as both you and Kaz have mentioned, it doesn't truly matter until the playoffs come. One of our teams could get eliminated before the NFC Championship game, but all of us and many other people believe that this will be the rematch in the NFC Championship game. And so until that happens, I'm going to reserve to say anything else. All I wanted to do was point out like 10, 15 times, maybe make it 16. Hey guys, did you know that Kevin said that the Eagles would win this game 38-7 and they ended up losing by 23 points? And everyone, Kaz, you and I, we can lean over to the left. Jaevon and Kevin, you can just lean over to the right. This was the screenshot that I spoke of earlier. As here is Kaz, a bet's a bet. It's whatever. See us when it matters. We appreciate you for fulfilling your bet, Kaz. And some people might have seen this viral image of a 49ers fan in Philly at the game yesterday. And, you know, I just had to break out some of my terrible Photoshop skills one more time and just say, you know, I think, clicked it one too many times. I think this is my mood. For those of you who are on YouTube, Twitter, well, it's called X now, and Twitch, that was my mood yesterday. Just love it. 49ers fan among all the crying Jordan Eagles fans. Cry, Eagles, cry. And, you know, Kevin, all offseason, I was telling you, we'll see you week 13. Now you saw what happened. We'll see you again in the NFC Championship game.
They got to get there. I don't know if they got to make it.
I'm just happy it wasn't a picture of my face over AJ Brown. I was looking forward to it all day.
Yeah.
Well, remember, I said this is Shaun Light. Let's wait till the NFC Championship game.
Don't lose to the Saints in the divisional round. That's all I'm going to say.
Toddy, like I said last year, real football doesn't start till
they wilding, bro. They wilding, bro.
You got to let them have their day, bro, because we would have done the same thing.
Hey, Kaz, just so you know, that's me taking it light. So I hope we have you back on after the 49ers beat the Eagles in the NFC Championship.
Hey man, look, anybody who follows me, here's how I talk, my YouTube, my Twitter, just know I'm with it. So hey, I love everything about this. Kev said it best. This is y'all's day, man. This is y'all's day. It's that simple. It's that simple.
We appreciate it.
And they seen what we did to y'all.
The boys are coming in, and all smack talk aside, I just want to say genuinely to both you, Kevin and Kaz, thank you for showing up. I've had friends that say that they're going to show up after their team loses, and then they don't, and I lose respect for those kind of people. And so, just shout out to both of you for being here today, taking it on the chin as the stand-up men that I know you both are, and I just want to say I appreciate it, and we'll see you in the NFC Championship game. There's a lot left.
I don't know if they're gonna get there. We gotta make we
in the league.
Cross all of our T's and dot all of our I's and make sure that they.
Hey, no, I'll say this. I'll say this respectfully. No, like being 100% honest. The ass whooping that we suffered the other day. Okay, that's one of them ones where it's like, you know what, man. We probably all seen Friday. Shaun, I don't know you that well, but I know that Toddy's seen it. I
have seen Friday.
All right, my man. Hey, you win some.
All three of them.
You lose some. But you live to fight another day, my boy. Hey, this is one of them situations, man. It's simple as that. Love to you, Shaun. Real talk, bro. Love to you, man.
I appreciate it, Kaz. I am very uncultured most of the time, but I have actually seen Friday. I've seen next Friday. I've seen Friday after next, and all of those, I would say, as a collection, cinematic masterpiece. And so, I'm glad that you mentioned that as well.
And by the way, I want to special before we end. This goes out. This is for Manny. I'm looking at the camera right here. I'm coming to collect on Sunday. I'm coming to collect on Sunday, Manny. Play Seattle. If you guys, it's a well-documented bet that we got going on that the Niners were going to sweep Seattle. And you guys are coming on down to Levi's, coming on down to the Bay Area. Just know the Niners are a 12.5-point favorite in that game. So I don't know if you know what's foreshadowed that's going to happen on Sunday. So just, I'll request it. I'll probably request it to you after the show's over, just to make sure that you have all my information. But just want to let you know I'm coming to collect on Sunday. And
go ahead.
Don't fuck around on Sunday. Don't get cute. Handle business.
I think they woke up. I think that they definitely woke up. And for our audio only listeners, I highlighted a comment from Amber that says "bang bang" because Niner gang. But I wanted to highlight that comment as Jaevon was talking about Manny, just because at least there's one person in the Anderson household who knows which team to root for. Maybe Manny will learn eventually. But let's move on here on episode number 66 of Stats Over Politics, because Kevin said to me earlier, I don't want to be talking about this game for an hour with you and Jaevon and Kaz. All right, well, we made it 53 minutes in, and so I'm going to honor Kevin's request, and we're gonna end it here. As Jaevon just mentioned, both of our division rivals who played each other this past week on Thursday in what was probably the most exciting Thursday night football game they might have ever had on Prime, definitely this season, as the Cowboys beat the Eagles 41-35. With this loss, Jaevon, the 49ers gain another game in the standings against the Seahawks, as you were mentioning there. It seems like the 49ers are about to wrap up the division. And for you guys as Eagles fans, Kaz and Kevin, the Cowboys, they remain in the hunt for the NFC East title. You both may believe that there's no shot, but that's why the games are played. And now the Cowboys are one game behind the Eagles after their loss this weekend. So, Jaevon, I'm going to toss it to you first on this one. What did you think about the Cowboys beating the Seahawks 41-35 on Thursday?
I think it was a CeeDee Lamb game. Went for 12 for 116 and a touchdown. He looked pretty much unstoppable that entire game. Dak threw for 299. Weird stat there. And 3 touchdowns. Ultimately, I don't think the Cowboys defense played particularly well by any standard, because Geno went for almost 350, and he also threw for 3 touchdowns. DK Metcalf was on the other side. He was Deron Bland, and he wrote in sign language that he is also standing on business. If you guys would have saw that touchdown that he scored. Yeah, I don't know how to do it. Some actually know sign language, so she might be able to come live on screen and show us how to do it. But I just think that the Cowboys are one of those teams that we've seen them beat like really bad teams, like they'll bulldoze Giants, Commanders, teams like that. They'll beat the shit out of them. But pretty much when they go against, big dogs, real teams, they lose. And Dak is putting up MVP numbers. I understand all of that. But we would like to see him against, that he's always going to be judged on what he looks like against, real competition, top tier teams, not against, the teams that I already just mentioned. So he was, he has like the third or second best odds for MVP right now. His numbers definitely are up there. He's putting up MVP like numbers, but it's, whenever he plays against real competition, he shrinks. Now, when he played against the Eagles, I wouldn't necessarily say that he shrunk. I just thought that there were some really bad plays that kind of occurred throughout the latter end of the game itself. And that's what ultimately led them to them losing, because I feel like the Eagles tried to give that game to the Cowboys, but the Cowboys wouldn't take it. But as far as this game goes, Dallas was favored by like 10 points in this game. And, the Seattle was winning the majority of this game. And then when Geno, I think, ends up throwing a timely interception to Deron Bland, shout out to Sack State, and he ends up, turning the ball over late, that kind of is what galvanized, the Cowboys to kind of come back and end up winning the game. So it was a very exciting Thursday night game, because we had a couple of stinkers on Thursday night. But very exciting game. Dallas had to put up 41 on Seattle and only win by 6. So it's, they get a mini bye going into the, second game against the Eagles, and we'll kind of see. Eagles are coming off of a loss. They're looking to prove themselves after getting shellacked at home. And, they're also, when a team is usually humiliated on national TV like the Eagles were at home, they're going to want to try and, have a statement game against Dallas. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it's going to make the game a lot tighter. But congrats to the Cowboys on getting another win at home.
Is every topic going to be an Eagles topic, Toddy? Is it going to be all night?
I'm just mentioning the facts. Stats over politics.
Kevin, go ahead. What did you think of the game?
I think this is a game that the Seahawks lost and the Cowboys kind of stumbled upon. Toddy mentioned Deron Bland was getting torched all night, and then Geno does a Geno. That was a pick. You can't throw an out route late. It's a pick, and they're running to the end zone, and all you're going to see is 26 Bland on the back, if that's his number, maybe 28 if I'm correct. But
I think it's 26.
26, yeah. So Geno just pulled the Geno, unfortunately, and cost him the game. But early, we saw Deron Bland getting torched by DK for that 73-yard touchdown. And like you mentioned, Toddy, he's showing the sign language saying that this dude can't mess with me. And the reason he learned sign language is because he kept getting fined all the money. So now that no one can understand what he's saying, saying all type of shit. But I mean, it kind of goes against smack talking because they don't know what they're saying. They just look like a bunch of hand stuff. But yeah, it's a smart way to save money. I'll tell you that. Twitter knows. And he actually studied it in college, so it's funny how it all kind of worked out for him. But like you mentioned, DK Metcalf showed up, but a lot of I'm surprised how he didn't mention his name. Jackson Smith the Jigba, Shaun.
Yeah,
it's putting the stamp on wide receiver U. Every wide receiver comes out of Ohio State. They say, oh, that's just Ohio State. All they do is throw the ball. Of course, you're going to have these yards and these numbers. He's coming and stabbing, going for 7 yards for 62. It's not crazy to say that he's wide receiver too. So Seahawks got to get right for next week.
Blue certainly knows that Jackson Smith and Jigba probably is becoming wide receiver 2 in Seattle, as Tyler Lockett gets to naturally just fall into the slot as the third option. Kaz, you're the last that we haven't heard from on this game. Your division rival, the Cowboys, beat the Seahawks 41-35. What did you think of this one?
150,000 million bajillion percent the Seahawks lost that game. I'm going to start off by saying this. Not trying to be that guy to say, you know, players throw games, but like if I ever see a player spike a ball to end a game ever again, besides just throwing up a prayer, I have to question that. Geno Smith, at the end of the game, had 2 opportunities to not only convert. I think it was on a third. The pick, I think it was on a third down, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, 3rd or 4th down, he threw the pick. That's fine. You know, you're in a very critical position. You threw the pick. Moving forward, you get another opportunity, and you end the game with a spike. I walked out of the room I was in watching the game. I go, if that was Jalen Hurts, oh Lord, Hurts better never do something to end a game like that. Well, Micah Parsons was coming. I don't give a damn. Try the game. This is it. This is all. This is for all. You have no timeouts, if I'm not mistaken. It is 4th down, and this game is not done yet. Micah Parsons coming through the middle or wherever he came from. You got to throw it up. Okay, you're a quarterback. You know where your guys are supposed to they're supposed to be in a vicinity if they're running the proper route. And he throws it at the tackle's feet to end the game. That's sad. That kind of football is what makes me as a fan it gets me hot, man. It was ridiculous. Geno Smith played amazing for 3.5 quarters. Absolutely amazing. He exposed Dallas for what Dallas really is. This is the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, this 35-41 is the Dallas Cowboys. That's why I'm not going to ever fear them. You guys obviously shouldn't fear them if you see them again in the playoffs and you guys, have their number. But Dallas is a good team offensively. They have guys like CeeDee Lamb. Jake Ferguson is a dog. Dak Prescott's good. Okay, he's been in the league for 8 years now. It's like year 8 or 9 or something like that. He's a good quarterback. Okay, let's just let it go. He's a good quarterback. All right. I'm not going to sit here with my ego bias and say he's trash and he ain't this, he ain't that. He is a good quarterback. I'm not saying he's top 3, 4, 5. He might be right now, but he's a good quarterback. We're not going to take that from him. Just like Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. We can't take that from him. But to look at this game against Seattle, and if you watch every snap like I did, and to say Dallas was the better team that day, that's a damn lie. They weren't. Dallas should have 100% lost that game. Tyler Lockett, big drop, wide open drop pass. That would have been the nail in the coffin right there. Happens though. It happens. So I'm not going to knock the fact that Tyler Lockett couldn't show up when it mattered the most. The same thing happened with Marquez Valdes-Scantling against us in Kansas City. Oh, if he would have caught that pass, y'all would have lost. Big moments calls for big guys to make big plays. Some guys don't have it in them. It's just that simple. Tyler Lockett didn't have it in him. He did not have it in him. It's that simple. DK showed up, did his thing. Geno did his thing, and then did Geno Smith shit at the end of the game and lost it for them. It was nothing against anybody on that Seattle Seahawks offense. Good game. Dallas, it came out on top, 41-35. This game, I would say 9 times out of 10 goes Seattle's way if regular things happen. It's that simple.
All right. Well, we shall see this upcoming week, especially in regard to these 2 teams, as the 49ers play the Seahawks and the Eagles play the Cowboys. So all 4 of us are going to be looking forward to those 2 games. Now, moving on, guys, to the last game that we're going to highlight. It has been mentioned earlier, and it was the game that was on Sunday Night Football as the Packers beat the Chiefs 27-19. Jaevon, I'm tossing it to you first on this one just because you have been the Jordan Love advocate. I said have. You are not currently the Jordan Love advocate.
Thank you, Shaun.
Because 3 weeks ago, you gave up on Jordan Love. You jumped ship on Jordan Love. You said, you know what? I don't care anymore. I give up on you. You tossed him to the side. And now he is looking tremendous as the Packers upset Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. So, Jaevon, are you regretting giving up on Jordan Love?
Never gave up on Jordan Love. I gave up on the Packers because I continue to bet on them, and they were losing.
I will find that. I will find that clip,
Find
and
the
I will
clip.
prove
Find
you
it.
wrong. But go ahead.
Find it. Jordan Love, man. Just call me That's So Raven because I can see the future. Try to tell you guys about Jordan Love, man. Try to tell you guys, man, about Jordan Love. As our cousin Mitri, you know, he's a fellow Packer fan in the comments. It was, you know, I picked the Packers. I had the Packers in this game. You know, Mahomes has been looking a little shaky. Khalil, he did DM me right after the Niners game. I was like, hey man, congratulations. I know it's a big win for you guys. Like, you know, another day, another weekend at his office. But he did tell me, he was like, hey man, like we're gonna beat the Chiefs now. I was like, you know, it's Mahomes. I picked them, but I wasn't confident in, you know, them kind of going out. You know, I had a couple calls go their way at the end. But the Packers have kind of just like in recent weeks, they've kind of been jumping out to these leads like 14-0, like 21-7, 14. I think they were up at halftime. And, you know, on Thanksgiving, when they jumped out to that lead against the Lions, a lot of people were like, whoa, like what's going on? Like, and they're, you know, these are quality wins that they have. You kind of look at their wins and you're going through it like, man, like these are some good teams. Jordan Love, I mean, this is his first real season as a quarterback. So, you know, there's going to be some ups and there's going to be some downs. So there are going to be inconsistencies with this team. But I do think that the Packers have found a franchise quarterback. I'm a guy who can, you know, win you know, big games at home in prime time. This was a Sunday night game, so everybody was watching. Taylor Swift was at the game, so everybody was saying there's no way the Chiefs lose, right? And ultimately, you know, the Chiefs kind of, they try to, you know, make Patrick Mahomes had a really bad pick, you know, late in the game. And it kind of was just like when you have to go through certain things when it comes to, you know, making plays without having a Tyreek Hill at the end of a game, or when Travis Kelce isn't able to make, you know, consistent plays throughout the game, and you have to rely on guys like Marquez Valdes-Scantling to make big plays. It's not possible. It's going to be a lot harder. I get the Chiefs are the defending champs of the National Football League, but I don't know if most people besides, you know, Kansas City fans believe that the Chiefs are going to go back to the Super Bowl. Are they going to make it out the AFC? Are they the best team in the AFC? I don't know. I'm not sure. They're 8-4 right now. I think this is the first real time we've seen the Chiefs look human, if that makes sense, because pretty much to everybody else, they're like, oh, they're this gauntlet, you know, they're Galactus, they're Thanos out in the AFC, and like everyone's kind of like, who's going to beat Mahomes? They're usually favored in almost every game that they play in for the most part. And kind of for them to go into, you know, Green Bay, which is a place where Patrick Mahomes has actually never played. This was the first time he played in Green Bay, which was a shocking thing to hear. And then Jordan Love just outplayed him, playing point blanks, period. I thought they ran the ball really well. A.J. Dillon was getting a bunch of carries, and he was a big factor for them. I get Kansas City had some injuries on defense, but I feel like KC had a bunch of chances to win this game. But they, you know, had too many mistakes, and the Packers kind of came out and they handled business. They still on business last night, you know. And I think the Packers are going to make the playoffs. I'm going to come out and say it now. Packers are making the playoffs.
All right, guys, I'm tossing it to you next. What did you think about this game? Was it more so the Chiefs lost it with lackluster play from Patrick Mahomes, or at least not to his standards, or was this more about the Packers who seem to be rolling?
I think the Packers handle business at home. It's that simple. The game came down to a couple questionable calls, but again, when you're a good team and you're playing against a team that's got some fight in them, you can't leave it up to the officials to decide the outcome of the game. And that's what happened to the Chiefs. You know, don't get me wrong, I think we all watched the game. There were a couple plays where at the end of the game, I'm like, oh, that's PI for sure. 100% PI. Didn't call it. Why are you in that position in the first place? You are the Kansas City Chiefs, okay? Arguably the best team in the AFC outside of the Ravens right now. But you know what I'm saying? You're the Chiefs. You're the defending Super Bowl champions. And you're going into Lambeau, which is somewhat of a hostile environment. It's a tough place to play if you're not used to the cold, but they're from the Midwest. They're used to the cold. It's all good. And you can't seal the deal on this game. The Chiefs did not prepare enough for the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers did what you guys did and came ready. They're like, no, yeah, we know who's coming to town. We know it's the Chiefs. We know it's Mahomes. We know it's Taylor Swift. She's in the building. You know, Travis Kelce. And they prepared well for it. And for the first time all season long, like Toddy said, their run game didn't look bad at all. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. No Aaron Jones, no problem. AJ Dillon, you know what I'm saying, doing the thing, you know, and then just watching Kansas City try all their cute shit. Well, when you do that, you know, every week, you're going to have a week or two where it doesn't work, and it didn't work. I had a bet that I think Kadarius Toney's line was like 9.5 yards or 10.5, something like it was something super low. I'm like, all day, put 10, 20, 10, 15 bucks on something stupid. I'm like, let me get that real quick. He had 0 yards.
Kadarius has those games.
Yeah, you know, and he does. But I'm just like, this is easy money. Pacheco getting ejected at the end of the game, you know, right? Honestly, I kind of defended Pacheco because he was mad about the situation they was losing, but it wasn't like he was just attacking a guy. He got put in a really weird situation, and he responded, you know, kind of how Dre Greenlaw did, and you know, you did too much, a little too much, you know, and stood on business, and it just comes down to the fact that I think Green Bay just prepared a little bit better. It's our home turf. Okay. You're coming here. We know who's on your squad. We know the publicity we're going to get with Taylor Swift. And, you know, and we know when Taylor Swift goes to games that Travis Kelce has these great games. Not today. It's not your day. This week, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. This was a big stood on business week. I know that term or that phrase get thrown around a lot. It's a very popular phrase right now, but it's real. Y'all did it, man. I wouldn't say Dallas necessarily did it, but Seattle's DK did it. Stood on business. Handled business. You know what I'm saying? Tonight, Cincinnati stood on business, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Drake Browning, damn near played perfect. I think he had two touchdowns, no interceptions, 300 plus some odd yard, you know, whatever. In one against Trevor Lawrence in the Jags. Even though he went out, he still did the majority of the work. This is just one of them weeks, man. And Green Bay was that team that was like, yeah, come on. Come to Lambeau. Let's do it. And they came out on top. Green Bay gets nothing but respect from me. Every last player on offense and defense did exactly what they needed to do. And that win was legitimate, 100%.
All right, Kevin, close this out. What did you think about the Packers beating the Chiefs?
Before I get into that, Toddy, you lasted an hour in the gear, man. I appreciate it. I didn't think you were gonna last that long, but I knew it was coming, dog. You was talking for a while. I knew you was sweating, but talking more about Jordan Love, like Toddy said, he stood on business. Jordan Love came in here and he is on track to have just more yards and touchdowns than Aaron Rodgers in his first full year starting. So the question is coming into this season, did they find their franchise quarterback? And the answer is yes. But talking more on the Chiefs side, we talk about this week in and week out. The receiving core is just abysmal. Besides Rashee Rice, and Travis Kelce, it's nothing. We talked about Tony having 0 yards. Marquez Valdez-Scantling had 2 yards with 2 catches for 25 yards. This receiving core is abysmal. You're not finishing drives like I talked about with the Eagles. It comes down to execution. And if you're just going to keep putting up field goals, you're going to keep giving this team confidence that they can play with the Super Bowl champs. And just because we go to the Super Bowl champs, you're going to get everyone's best game. And Jordan Love and Christian Watson, Jalen Reed, Romeo Doubs, we talked about A.J. Dillon, where they're missing their best offensive player in Aaron Jones. This is like the youngest offense in the NFL today. So they have this great defense to lean on, and this offense is only going to get better. We saw them struggle early, but they're coming up to play, and I wish Toddy wouldn't have been like Kevin and turned in his parking pass. But you know what? There's always next year, Toddy.
Parking pass.
Yeah, just like Kevin turned in his Justin Fields parking pass for the presidency of the Justin Fields fan club. That's still to be determined. And the only thing that I'll say for this is Jordan Love in his last 3 games since Jaevon gave up on him, 857 yards, 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 3-0 record. That's
You're
pretty
holding
good.
it back, Toddy.
He sure was. As we continue here on episode number 66 of Stats Over Politics, Shaun Holko alongside Kevin Dent, Jaevon Toddy, and our guy Kaz Johnson of Kazzybear TV filling in for Garry, who's working tonight. And so, guys, now let's get to the rest of Week 13 in the NFL. As we talked about the 3 main games from this week, but as we always do, we'll go through the rest of them. Okay, I'll just let the 3 of you choose. Who wants to talk about this Chargers and Patriots game as the Chargers beat the Patriots 6-0? Toddy's all over. Go ahead.
I was hoping you didn't choose me, bro. I was like, damn, this shit was hard to watch.
Well, if you guys would have, I watched every single second of this game. Want to know why?
The bet.
They were
hit the
on
under.
the hotline, baby. Come on now. Called it last week, under 41.5, man. And I was like,
That was an
"There's no
easy
way."
under.
The under was a breeze this entire game. If you kind of watch, Bailey Zappi starting, the wind, the rain, it's raining and storming in Foxborough. I'm like, well, if anyone does score, it would be probably the Chargers, but the Chargers haven't really been able to put up 20 points a game. So I'm like, okay. And I know for a fact the Patriots won't be able to move the ball. So I think Ramondre Stevenson ended up getting hurt in this game, which is not good for the Patriots. Pretty much all downhill for them. I think the Chargers should have still fired Brandon Staley after this game, not even able to put up 10 points against the 2-10 New England Patriots. It was abysmal. Patriots are trying to get Caleb Love, and I hope they do. Maybe Bill gets to restart all over, and Caleb gets to go in, and I say Caleb Love, Caleb Williams, go in and be able to, make things happen. And, we'll see where they fall. I think they're second currently right now if the draft were to start today. And I think the Bears get the number 1 pick. So we'll see. We'll see. And maybe Bill's not even there to, make that pick because we know he's notoriously not good at drafting players. So I loved every single bit of this game.
Kaz, ya boy, Gardner Minshew. He led the Colts to a 31-28 win against the Titans in overtime.
Yeah, first and foremost, I'm sad about that because I took the Titans to pull off the upset, and of
Definitely
course,
pick the Titans too.
for my picks, man, I'm having a tough year. Start off hot, and this was one of those games. I'm like, man, let me get one, bro. My Birds already lost, man. Let me get this one, and of course, in overtime, they couldn't pull it off. The better team won. I mean, we all know that. The Colts are better than the Titans. Derrick Henry, going out when he did with I think a concussion, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah. So Tennessee, they're a team that doesn't have any room for error. And when you have an error like that, or say an error like maybe a quarterback not playing well, you have to play perfect to win. And they didn't, and they lost. And that loss was understood. As for Minshew, I've had this conversation with some of my boys about who the best backup quarterback is in the league right now, and he's a Ravens fan. Josh Dobbs for sure is it. He is it. But he's a Ravens fan, and for a while he's like, man, I like Tyler Huntley. I'm like, bro, Minshew is literally a dog. I'm like, Minshew's a dog, man. Like, don't get me wrong, Minshew, he might lose your game, but he's gonna put up 320 on your head, bro. 322,
the Pro Bowler.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he gonna put 20 on your head, bro. Or 320. But the Colts are the more poised team. Tennessee Titans are a team that, again, you got to play your best football to get a dub. It's wraps for you guys. And even though I lost when it comes to my pick 'em, the better team won, and as simple as that. The Colts are a solid team. That's what the capital S, just a solid team. And that's it. The solid team won against a bad football team. There's nothing more that needs to be said.
No Jonathan Taylor either. He did not play.
No JT. But hey, their backup is not bad at all. At all.
Zach, what's the name?
Moss.
Zach Moss.
Yeah. He's actually pretty good.
The one name that I would throw in there for the best backup quarterback in the NFL discussion, Teddy Bridgewater. Sleeper.
Man, but the
Detroit.
thing is, yeah, and that's the problem. It's like Teddy Bridge has come in and done some things. We've all seen it. We've all watched him his whole career, of course. But it's like, man, like you can't discredit guys like the Minshews and like, or like what's the name? Like Jacoby Brissett. It's like,
put some respect on Jameis Winston's name.
Jameis Winston, there another one. Why is
30
Derek,
for 30?
Why is Carr starting? I know we're gonna get to that later on, but like, it's like, why is Derek Carr starting? What are you doing? Jameis is at least gonna get Chris Olave them targets. You can't get your best guy targets. Don't get me started on the Saints. Don't do that.
Oh, please don't get me started on the Saints.
Yeah, Kaz, if you didn't know, Toddy picked the Saints to make it to the NFC Championship game this year. All right, Kevin, tossing this next one to you. The Texans, led by CJ Stroud, defeated the Broncos 22-17 to snap the Broncos 5-game winning streak.
Hey, man. Told Rich Bernard, if you're a day one listener to this podcast, week in and week out, we're going to come out and show CJ Stroud love. 16 of 27 for 274 yards and 1 touchdown. We saw Damian Pierce in his second game back from injuries, finally starting to get going. Devin Singletary really stepped up in his absence, and now they have a dynamic duo backfield, and, we'll kind of see what they can do. Damian Pierce for 15 for 41 yards, and Devin Singletary, like I mentioned, for 8 for 36 yards. Unfortunately, the most unfortunate news of the world could have happened. Everyone has become a Tank Dell fan, I believe, and to see him go out with a fractured fibula, season-ending.
On a blocking play.
He has the rookie record for touchdowns. He only played 12 games and had 7 touchdowns. Andre Johnson follows with 4, and Will Fuller follows with 3. So he was on pace for the Texans. Yeah, so he was on pace to really keep going and to keep submitting his name as a third-round draft pick. He wasn't supposed to have these kind of expectations. Third-round picks is a kind of a flipping a coin. Are they going to hit or are they going to not? Tank Dell is a hit for the future of this organization. There's nothing but great things to see. Nico Collins stepped up in his absence, going 9 for 191 yards, 21 yards per catch, and 1 touchdown. But like we always got to talk about the other side of this coin, the Broncos, Russell Wilson in the first half, kind of had me fooled. I was like, you know what? Russ is cooking. He's back. Second half, Broncos country, you didn't ride. 3 picks in the second half. Really came down to just execution, and like I've been preaching all episode. And the Broncos really fumbled this game away. They had a chance to really compete in this game, but you're going to give CJ Stroud the ball 3 times in the second half. We've seen him come back and really walk that dog all the way down the field. If it's a game-winning touchdown, it's a game-winning field goal. CJ Stroud is one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. And Kaz, I don't know if you paid attention to this episode, but if the Texans win the AFC North, that means CJ Stroud is a top 5 quarterback. Referring to Tony's time.
Yeah, and I will say this too, just to go off what you said about Tank Dell. For those of you out here who are not into health and fitness, that's actually what I do for a living. And I want to say this: he will be back. He'll be just fine. The fibula injury, whether it's a clean break or not, or just a regular fracture, he will bounce back. Given his position, he will be just fine. So, all you Tank Dell fans out there, like myself, would love to watch him play. It's gonna happen next year. We're gonna see him. So, keep your prayers up for that man, and definitely be prepared for another great season. He's a dog, period.
What I just heard from Kaz is Tank Dell is a future 5th round pick in my fantasy draft in my fantasy draft next year, potentially. All right. So Jaevon, the Cardinals upset Garry's Steelers 24-10.
How about it, Garry? How about it? and not to mention, Kenny Pickett gets injured in this game.
That's unfortunate.
And when Kenny goes down, I guess everything goes out the window because guess who's coming in? Old Mitch. Old Mitchell. When Trubisky started trotting on the field, I was like, Steelers don't got a snowball chance in hell. Kyler made a lot of plays, was running around, slinging the pill. There was 2 weather delays in this game, which was kind of weird, and so it kind of like drifted over into like the 1 p.m. slot. And so you're like looking at them like, damn, they're still playing, and they're like, oh no, there was 2 weather delays. And, I don't know if that would have gave the Steelers a little bit more juice, but ultimately they weren't able to really do anything with the football, and the Cardinals were kind of just able to score points and move up and down the field. They were somehow unable to do that last week against, the Rams. But they did it against a better defense in the Pittsburgh Steelers, which was kind of weird on the road. And they got the job done. I'm not sure what the Cardinals stance is on what they're trying to do moving forward. Are they trying to win games and be competitive? Because their season's over. I think we can all kind of sit here and say, like, they're playing for no reason, right? They're all playing for nothing. If they're going to win these games, you're just getting a worse draft pick. I don't know what their intentions are. What your guys' old D coordinator, what are they planning there? But, Cardinals win a meaningless game in December. The Steelers are still in playoff contention. The Cardinals are not. So, congrats to the Cardinals.
Congrats to the Cardinals, Kaz, as the Lions defeated the Saints 33-28 after getting out to a 21-0 lead in the first 7 minutes of this game.
Yeah, just another game that was, expected. Anybody who's watched any Saints football knows Derek Carr is far from the answer. And the Saints will continue to suffer from having a guy like Derek Carr under center. Now, I'm not sure what the status of his injury is. Like, so what actually happened? Did anybody know?
Shoulder, it's all.
And he got blown up. Okay, so
yeah.
he'll be back in 2 weeks probably. But regardless, the Saints with Derek Carr under center. I mean, you can't hit your superstars like I mentioned before. Chris Olave. It is the Alvin Kamara show, and that's it. And that's because you have no other options because you're a bad quarterback. The inevitable happened, and it should have been far worse than that. I think honestly, Detroit
escaped.
They left the gas pedal. They did. 21-0 with 8 minutes left in the first quarter. I remember I was working, so I bartended. So I was working. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are we going to see another Miami and who they play Broncos game with 70-20? Is it going to be like, because I'm like, they're on pace for 100 points right now. There's 8 minutes left in the first quarter, and they have 21. This isn't too far-fetched. Now, granted, we all know that was going to happen because it's football. But what I'll say is this. Detroit, they made a statement early, and they did what legitimate teams do. You get up early and you win the game. It doesn't matter how good it looks or how, big the margin is. You get up 21-0. That's a dub. That's a dub. Detroit, far better than the Saints. New Orleans won't win anything with Derek Carr under center. And it's just another one of those takes where it's like, what do you want me to say? What was supposed to happen happened, and it shouldn't even have been that close. So shout out to New Orleans for hanging around and coming back. That's cool. Alvin Kamara, you still the man, bro. We love you, and we hope you have a very good and long career. But other than that, you can't. That team is, I'll say it right now, and I say it every week, the best football player in the world plays for the Saints. And that is Taysom Hill. I'm going to say it one more time. Listen to me verbatim. The best football player in the world plays for the Saints. That is Taysom Hill. You can't name another player right now that can play tight end, wide receiver, can return punts, can throw touchdowns, and play running back. And do it all successfully.
Christian McCaffrey.
No.
Christian McCaffrey.
No. Not at the same level as Taysom Hill. Not at the same level as Taysom Hill. I'll put my best on that. So what I'm gonna say is this: the Saints were not supposed to win that game, and I'm actually glad that they didn't, because they just make me very upset every week with Derek Carr under center, and that's that. So,
well, the one thing I would ask you in response to that, and I'll just leave it here for you to think about the question rather than responding for the sake of time. But why are people Swiss Army knives? Because they're not extremely good at one thing specifically. So it's like, all right, you're talented to be on the field, but you're not talented enough to be our starting tight end or our starting running back or our starting wide receiver or our starting quarterback. So we're just going to have you do all of it. That's basically how I look at Taysom Hill.
I'll think on it, but he is the best to do it. That's all I'm going to say. He's the best to do it.
Fair enough. All right, so Kevin, I'm tossing this next one to you. As the Falcons, they defeated the Jets 13-8.
Oh man, we talked about the Chargers game being hard to watch. This game was hard to watch. It just sucks to see talent wasted. We see all Kyle Pitts kind of get activated early, which was nice to see. But Drake London, you would hate to call him a bust, but it's a horrible quarterback situation over there. The only bright spot from night in and night out is Bijan Robinson. he is finding a way to make it happen, whether it's through the air or he's running the ball. Today or Sunday, he ran for 18 carries for 53 yards. And like I mentioned, Kyle Pitts for 51 yards. The biggest thing I took from this game is Garrett Wilson is going to be the worst person to struggle from this. He has had no quarterback play now going into year 3. Aaron Rodgers is back at practice. If they're going to come back and play, I doubt it. They'd have to win a couple games for him to realistically come back and have a shot for the playoffs. But the Jets have a lot of things going wrong for them. The only good thing is, Aaron Rodgers got hurt, so they get to keep their first-round pick and continue to build this team. But this team is their defense is scoring points for them. The offense came and do it for them. So I feel bad for the Jets fans. Expectations coming into the year. Like I said earlier, I had them going to the Super Bowl playing the Eagles. This was one of the games that I thought the Eagles could lose because of Aaron Rodgers. So for all this hope, for all the hard knocks, for all of it to kind of end like this, it's really sad to see. And I'm hoping the Jets can bounce back next year, not only because I love football, but I would love to see Garrett Wilson on the prime time that he deserves.
Jaevon, the Dolphins obliterated the Commanders 45-15.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't really any doubt that the Dolphins will win. They covered the spread. It was 9.5. Tua looked like Tua. We saw Tyreek Hill go for 2 touchdowns. I saw someone had a crazy 2-touchdown parlay, turned like $25 into like 9 bands. It was, I think Tyreek was on there. Derrick Henry was on there. Debo was on there. And there was one more person on there. I'm kind of blanking out on who it was, but might have been Mike Evans. I could be wrong. But yeah, cashed a lot of money on Tyreek Hill. He doesn't throw up the peace sign anymore because he said they'd be fining him for doing that. So, I mean, he scores a lot, so he has a lot of opportunities to throw up the peace sign. And the Miami Dolphins are sitting at the top of the AFC right now. And in our preseason predictions, I had Miami missing the playoffs again. So, eat my words on that one. But Miami is 9-3. Does the AFC Championship go through Miami? Dare I say? It's possible, but we'll see.
That would be wild considering the home field advantage that they have there. It would be a lot less in January, but still, I think it would have some kind of an impact. Kaz, as the Rams, they defeated the Browns 36-19, and it should be noted that Joe Flacco led the Browns in this game.
Yeah, I said in my prediction videos last week, the same thing with the Jets. No quarterback, you're not going to win this game. It's that simple. Shout out to the Browns for trying their absolute best to find something that works, but it's not enough. It's just not enough. In the Browns situation, it's low key sad unless you're a part of the fan of the other AFC North teams, because you probably don't care for the Browns. But there's certain teams you kind of low key root for just for shits and gigs. You know what I'm saying? Like the Texans right now. Who is rooting against the Texans? I mean, it's cool. Our entire lives, I'm 32. You guys are 20s, 30s, whatever, however you are. But it's like, when's the last time you said, man, that Texans team is damn good? Never. Your whole life, you've never said that. You saw Andre Johnson, you saw Aaron Foster, you saw JJ Watt, and that's about it. Brian Cushing, and there's a couple of dogs. That's about it. When it comes to the Cleveland Browns, it's the same thing. They haven't won shit my entire life. Nothing. So, you kind of hope the best for them, and their defense is great. But unfortunately, they need, just like the Jets, a quarterback. That's the missing piece. Your defense can win you a game. Your defense can keep you in a game. And guess what? They went against a team that has guys on offense that can make plays, like Puka Nacua, and that's all that needs to be said. A great defense can only last so long. Defenses get tired. Your offense has to do the job. The Browns came in and they did exactly what was expected and not do much on offense. It's that simple. The Browns are just a situation where it's, hey, we respect you. We know what could have been, should have been, would have been, but there's no chance that you were winning this game unless you completely shut down that Rams offense, and that just wasn't going to happen. It just wasn't going to happen. So shout out to them for showing up and still being somehow in playoff contention. But I think we all know the end of what's going to happen when it comes to the Browns. So
Browns fans hate us on this podcast. Just want to put that out there.
I'm sorry, man.
Literally,
they can be mad all they want, man, but they should be used to it by now. I mean, they probably lived their entire lives going through what I just talked about. You haven't been good forever. And this was your opportunity. And unfortunately, you paid a guy a lot of money and he ain't even playing for you right now. So you gotta eat that. We did with Carson Wentz. You guys a little bit worse. Gotta do the same thing for right now.
A little bit worse.
Yeah, and as you were alluding to there, Kaz, I mean, the Browns, there's that famous Browns jersey where it started as a Tim Couch jersey, and then there was like 20 other quarterbacks' names on it. That's life as a Browns fan. And Jaevon, for our audio-only listeners, Jaevon saluted as Kaz was talking about the Texans teams of the past. Jaevon was indicating J.J. Watt. Those teams were great, Jaevon, but the point I would make is to Kaz's overall point that the Texans were lacking a quarterback through all of that. Brian Hoyer, Ryan Fitzpatrick, they were lacking a quarterback through all of those years, unfortunately, for J.J. Watt. And Kevin, the last game that I'm going to ask you about here is the Buccaneers defeating the Panthers 21-18 in the Panthers' first game without Frank Reich.
So, we saw last week when
champions.
We saw last week the Steelers get rid of their OC, and we saw Kenny Pickett flourish. So coming into this game, you're like, all right, are we going to see hype and Bryce Young? What are we going to see? And the only thing that I have on my notes from this Panthers game was Chuba Hubbard is the only bright spot on this team. 25 carries, 104 yards, 2 touchdowns. As an Eagle fan, it breaks my heart because that means Booby is just sitting there getting pine cones stuck in his ass cheeks and watching the young guy run. But this Bucs team, Baker Mayfield. I wish I could do the Italian voice, but I just can't do it. There we go. Baker Mayfield, 14 of 29, 202 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Is he the future? Is he going to be the quarterback that they continue to play with? I mean, they're in the playoff hunt. They can possibly win the division. Mike Evans, we had a factor cap earlier this year if he was going to get 10 straight 1,000 yards, and Sunday he cracked it. 7 receptions, 162 yards, 1 touchdown. On the year, 1,012 yards, 10 touchdowns, 17 yards per catch. 10th straight 1K seasons. Mike Evans is the definition of consistency. And this run game, we saw the Bucs of the past on their playoff runs when they were the best. We had playoff Flinty running and breaking off touchdowns. Rashad White, 20 carries, 84 yards, and 1 touchdown. You guys looked at me crazy when I said it's Baker the future. They can mess around and make the playoffs. The next 5 games are at Atlanta, at Green Bay, the Jags come to town, at Bucs, at Panthers. You never know. They win the division. We talk about the Saints with Derek Carr going down. Do any of us have belief that the Falcons are actually going to win the division? The Panthers aren't going to win the division. Somebody has to take it.
Somebody got to win.
Somebody got to win.
Someone does have to win, and I just wanted to shout out our friend Khalil, who's tuned in right now. He says, we to the offs being the Packers. Khalil, you said that you're back because, unfortunately, you were at the Kings game, and it was unfortunate because the Kings lost. But, Khalil, we just did a whole segment about the Packers and Chiefs, so you'll just got to rewind for that. But, Jaevon, the last game that we're going to talk about from Week 13 is the game that we just saw finish on Monday Night Football that went to overtime. In the battle of the backups, the Bengals beat the Jaguars 34-31.
Jake freaking Browning.
Put some respect on his name.
Are the Bengals out of playoff contention?
No.
Are the Bengals going to make the playoffs with Jake Browning throwing for 350 and a touchdown? We do got to give some respect to Joe Mixon. He did rush for 68 yards and 2 touchdowns. So that did help. I thought the over hit in this game, the over-under in Monday Night Football games was 13-1 before tonight. Obviously 13-2 now. But I think Trevor Lawrence played the majority of this game. I think he got hurt in the end of the third, going into the fourth, and then we saw our own C.J. Beathard go in there and try to, make a case for, they forced overtime, so I'll give them credit for that. But ultimately, it was pretty much the Jake Browning game. I feel like that's what everyone's going to call this. We'll see that on pretty much all of the, morning shows tomorrow. Jake Browning, is he's, they're going to be able to do this? And, are the Bengals going to be able to make the playoff? I don't know. That probably might be a good factor cap for Kevin, giving him ideas here early on the show. But, this was an interesting game. The Jags were 10-point favorites going into the game. That was something I was very skeptical on. I'm like, the Jags can't cover 10 points. Like, in my mind, I didn't bet this game, but if I would have, I definitely would have put, Bengals plus 10. But for the Bengals to kind of come out and win outright with, a backup quarterback on Monday Night Football on the road, it speaks volumes. And the Bengals, they could still make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win the division, but their division in particular is very compacted and tough. I went out in the preseason show, I should say, and I mentioned that 4 teams could potentially make the playoffs from this division, but with all of the injuries to the quarterbacks that have occurred throughout this season, it's going to be tough for that to kind of come to fruition. But this Bengals team definitely still had a shot to make the playoffs.
They certainly do, and led by the Folsom guy, Jake Browning, I can file that under things that I love to see. All right.
Real quick, Shaun. Real quick. I just want to say, also, let's talk about Jamar Chase. 10 receptions, 141 yards,
Got him
and a touchdown. Yeah. I think Jamar Chase he runs that offense. Give him the ball by any means necessary, and you won't be surprised if the Bengals do end up winning another 2 or 3 games here soon. So I just want to say that real quick. Get him the ball, you win games. Tonight, you saw what happened. So
7-11.
Bengals up.
The Bengals are up, and the AFC North, I mean, the Ravens are probably near the top, but the AFC North could be up for grabs as well, depending on if Toddy, what you always like to say is whether or not the Ravens want to fuck around or not. What is it that you always say? Is that a certain team reaches fuck around levels? Is that what you're saying is?
Oh, you're talking about whenever there's like a team that's, damn, what do I always be saying? They do be fucking around. Teams in general, they always be fucking around. They're officially the fuck around stage. That's what
they have officially entered the fuck around stage. So we'll see if the Ravens do that, because Jake Browning might have something to say about it. All right, so now it's time to get to our 2 recurring segments that are sandwiched with some college football in the middle today. But Kevin, if you could, please get us started with one of our favorite recurring segments, Factor Cap.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We all know that Factor Cap is usually never split. It's usually never 4 of us on the same side. There's always one person that's going to choose to vary off, but I'm really interested to kind of see how this goes. As you guys all know, Shaun gets a little bit of insight before, but Cass and Toddy have no idea what's going to be asked. So, Toddy, I'm going to bring it to you first. Fact or cap? The 49ers are the best team in the NFL.
This is an absolute fact. There's no question. There's nothing. I don't know what. This is a trick question. Am I being punked? Are the cameras in my house? Is Ashton Kutcher going to pump out of the bushes and say, "You just got punked"? Like, what did we just watch yesterday? Did we all watch the same game? Like, are we just going to just throw out like yesterday didn't happen? Niners are the best team in the NFL. There's no question about it. I don't know who's on our level. We're just on it. We're on like there's the 49ers and there's like pretty much everybody else. Like, yeah, I guess the Eagles were in that same conversation on best team in the NFL, before yesterday. But then after yesterday, we pretty much just proved to the league, to the world, that the San Francisco 49ers are the best team in the league. So I'm going to say fact. The 49ers are the best team in the NFL by a wide margin. It's not even close.
Kaz, don't even worry about it. I'm going to send it to you next. Fact or cap? Let me know when you be ready. All right. Fact or cap? The 49ers are the best team in the NFL.
Boy, hell no. Hell no. This all pride aside. I'm not saying we're the best team in the NFL. But they damn sure, because of last night, that's what makes you the listen. It's not like you came in and we played our best ball and you played your best ball and you beat us 42-19. No, we dropped the ball. Y'all came ready. We didn't come prepared, and it is what it is. That is cap, mega cap. Because guess what? We already know what's going to happen. We're going to see in the playoffs. All right. I'm glad that Slant Boy, aka Brock Purdy, did what he did to get the ball to the guys and got all that yak for y'all boys. I'm glad. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. I really am. Very happy. I'm glad. Debo, Tough dude, hard to tackle. Kittle ain't no joke. Ayuk, you know what I'm saying? He a monster. And CMC is the best running back in the NFL. All right. I'm going to call it what it is right now. Okay. It's cool. Rainy game, sloppy, in cold Philadelphia. It is what it is. That is cap. The best team in football. Forget our game. There's 2 to 3 other teams right now that can beat this Niners team.
Who's the best team in the NFL then?
The best team in the NFL right now, if you were to ask me, 110%. I'll be honest with you. Baltimore. I'll say ball. I'm saying bone on bone, man to man. We're gonna go out and take this. Baltimore. You have no answer for the defense and their run game, and somehow, some way, the reincarnation of OBJ is real. It's legitimate. It's not a joke. Mark Andrews is being missed in Baltimore. But if it's not Baltimore, it's us. I have to. I'm sorry, I have to. But to see y'all beat us the way y'all did, that again, like I said in the past, is not a testament to what the Philadelphia Eagles are as a team. That was a very good game played by you guys and a very bad game played by us. I can't just automatically give you guys you're the best. I can't. You guys went on a 3-game losing streak. 3 to who? I'm sure you remember. Who was it? Tell me.
The Browns, the Vikings, and the Bengals. Go ahead.
Okay. No, wait. Browns, Vikings, Bengals. Okay. Now, right now, all bites aside, the Philadelphia Eagles, which we already played the Vikings. If you had to take the Philadelphia Eagles to play the Browns, the Vikings, and the Bengals right now, who would you pick to win that damn game?
Eagles.
No bites aside. Forget the game that happened last night. Say last night haven't happened. You're taking Philadelphia. That's why I can't say you guys are the best team in the NFL because of that right there. How the hell? Because you lost Trent Williams and Debo for a couple weeks. That's it. You got Ayuk. Ayuk's a true number one. He's a dog. You got CMC, the best runner, dude. Somebody on my Twitter, I'll be quick with this. Somebody on my Twitter said, "How dare you say the Niners have a good O-line? How dare you say they don't? Why? Well, they just have Trent Williams. It doesn't matter. CMC is the leading rusher in the league. Brock Purdy literally gets sacked less than a lot of the top 5 passers in the league. Well, but they run more. It doesn't matter. He's not getting sacked as much as these guys, and it's by a good margin. The Niners O-line may not have the best guys when it comes to roster on that offensive line, but they have a solid O-line. You cannot say CMC is just doing it by himself. He's just Derrick Henry in his way to all these. No, he has openings, he has space, and he does the most with the space, which is what makes CMC so awesome. He's amazing. But to say the Niners are the best team in the NFL, I can't say that. You beat us, but there are other teams that exist right now, and I'll say one of them. I'll say one of them is Baltimore, and the other one might be, and I hate to say it,
Miami,
Dallas. Mm-hmm. I hate to say it, and I hate them. I hate them with a fiery passion.
Don't lose on Sunday.
Yeah, fair enough. Don't let them get their get back in the playoffs because y'all gonna see them before y'all see us.
I've been saying that the last 2 years.
Yep.
I've been waiting on the get back.
Kevin, just one moment, please, before you ask me formally this factor cap question, because Kaz, I gotta respond to a couple things that you just said. Because first of all, let's play the same game. Okay, would the Eagles be favored against the Browns and the Vikings and the Bengals? Yes, they would. Would the Eagles be favored against the Jets led by Zach Wilson? Yes, they would. But yet they lost to them. And that's why you play the games. That is why you play the games. The 49ers lost to a Vikings team led by Kirk Cousins that started to play very well. Everyone saw it for the first time, really, on national TV in that game on Monday Night Football. Our guy, Wes, who is a noted Vikings fan, he saw after that game, I started picking the Vikings in all of our weekly pick'ems. And he started saying in the comments, hey, good job, Shaun. I'm glad that someone knows. Because I learned in that game how great the Vikings are. The point is that any given Sunday, I know that's a cliche, but you can't play that game that you just did. Okay, that's great.
Hurts for 3 picks in that game, by the way, too. just wanted to let that be.
I just had to respond to that one thing. Kevin, please go ahead. Ask me the question.
All right. So it is 1-1, as I'm sure everyone knew was coming. So we all know what's coming next. So, Shaun, fact or cap, the 49ers are the best team in the NFL.
This is a fact. Last week, I said on this podcast, even if the 49ers beat the Eagles on Sunday, the Eagles could and probably will be still the best team in the NFL. But I didn't think that the Eagles would lose by 23 points on their home field to the 49ers that wore all black for the game. They were ready for the Eagles' funeral. They got their get back, which is something that the Cowboys can't accomplish against the 49ers. And you may be wondering, what was the 49ers' best game of the season if Shaun said earlier that the win against the Eagles wasn't? It was against the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football, 42-10. I know the 49ers were at home in that game versus being on the road in a hostile Philadelphia stadium. The thing is that the Cowboys went into that game with the same amount of motivation as the 49ers did going into Philadelphia yesterday. But yet, the 49ers, they didn't get handled by the Cowboys. They didn't even get threatened by the Cowboys. They beat them boys by 32 points. So that's the 49ers' best win of the season. And you may be wondering, because the Eagles, they are the only 10-2 team in the NFL. And the 49ers are one of 5 9-3 teams in the NFL. And you may think to yourself, okay, the Eagles could be the best team. Kaz said that the Cowboys could be better than the 49ers, along with the Ravens. The 49ers haven't played the Ravens yet. They will on Christmas. I guess we'll see what happens then. But the 49ers have played the Cowboys. They have played the Eagles this season. And what did they do? They outscored those two teams that are 9-3. They outscored them a combined 84-29. 4 of their wins, being the 49ers, 4 of their wins are by more than 20 points. Another 4 wins are by double digits. The 49ers are hands down the best team in the NFL. They proved that yesterday. It's a fact.
All right. Well, we all knew that was coming, and everyone knows where I'm going. Fact or cap, the 49ers are the best team in the NFL. You guys laid it out perfectly. This is a cap. You know, I should put my hat back on. So let me go ahead and do that. Because this is cap. You know, at the end of the day, you guys still went to sleep and didn't wake up in the first seed. There's still only one 10-win team. So this is stats over politics, Toddy. I remember you saying that over and over and over and over. So we're going to stay true to the show, fellas. Stats over politics. 10 is more than 9. And 3 losses is more than 2. So if the math is computed in my head, call me Jimmy Neutron since he's that so Raven. The Eagles are the best team in the NFL. Hands down. Shaun, go ahead. Ask your question.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it. Kaz, you might not have seen this, but Kevin, I know you remember this vividly. When I put that stupid meme up on the screen, and it was the 49ers and the Eagles, and it was the 2 dragons. 49ers looking all vicious, Eagles looking kind of dumb. Well, and I use that meme, Kaz, when the 49ers and Eagles were both 4-0, then both 5-0. And Kevin, do you remember what I mentioned, stats over politics, what I mentioned as to the reason why the 49ers 4-0 record or 5-0 record was impressive versus the Eagles? It wasn't. Do you remember the stat that I used for that?
Was it a point differential?
It sure was point differential. Thank you, Kevin, for remembering. So the Eagles, they are 10-2, and they have a point differential of plus 41. The 49ers are 9-3. They have a point differential of plus 163. Through 13 games, I got you, Kevin. I'm going to toss it right back. But through not 13 games, 13 weeks, but 12 games, the 49ers are averaging, beating their opponents by like, what, quick math, by basically 2 touchdowns a game, while the Eagles, through those 10 wins, are averaging winning by like 4 points or so. But Kaz, I can see that you're about to jump in, but Kevin wanted to say something as well.
Go ahead, Kev. Go ahead.
How many points you guys put up in the losses?
Oh, great question. Let's take a look. And Kaz, I know you want to discount the fact that the 49ers, they went on that 3-game losing streak without Trent Williams, arguably the best offensive lineman of all time, without Deebo Samuel. I mean, let's just act like it's not significant. Okay, Kevin, answer your question. 17, 17, 17. They scored 17 in 3 straight losses.
So you said 17 3 times. So that means you have 3 losses, and the Eagles
Correct.
have 2.
Oh
So
my God.
you guys, it's called stats over politics. We have to stay true to the damn name. That's
Hey,
what
there's
we
Stevie
are.
Wonder when it comes to what happened yesterday.
Hey, brother. Like I said, you woke up and
Yesterday
said,
did not happen.
God damn it, the Eagles are still right there. Just hanging on top of you. You just thing the fly, you just can't get off your shoulder. It's right there dangling. We're gonna beat the Cowboys, and you guys are just gonna say, well, you know what, Kevin? DeVito, he's gonna come in there in Philly, he's gonna get it done. And then we're gonna have to deal with that twice. And then it's gonna be, well, Kevin, the Cardinals haven't given up. There's still hope. You never know what Kyler can do. And we're gonna beat them, and inevitably we're gonna have the number 1 seed. So the best team
Or
in
you
the
guys
NFL.
gonna rest your starters?
We'll still have the best record in the NFL because, like Shaun mentioned, you guys play the Ravens, so that's 4 L's. So we can sit back pretty and see how it comes. But
Real quickly, Kevin, before you move on to the next Factor Cap question, I just wanted to respond to these comments from Khalil on YouTube as he says, okay, can I ask a question? And trust me, Eagles fans, you're going to like this. He says, Factor Cap before the Eagles and 49ers played, who was the best team in the league? And he said, I meant to say, were the Eagles the best team in the league before the 49ers and Eagles played? The answer is yes, a definitive yes. Jaevon, and it's unanimous. All of us could agree that the Eagles were the best team going into that game. But losing by 23 points on your home field against a team that supposedly was going to win by 31 points, according to Kevin, that's embarrassing. They are no longer the best team in the
Eagles
NFL.
fans that like to deflect everything. They're like, oh, it's Miami, it's the Ravens, it's still us. We're still the best team. They're deflecting all
the best means you have the most of something, right? And we have the most wins. So by rule, I say the Eagles are the best. But this one.
Go ahead, Kev. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Kaz. I'll get move on. What you got to say?
Yeah, bet.
Yeah,
I'm going to say this real quick. I'm looking right now at the last 20 years of Super Bowl champions. Okay.
Of course, I knew.
No, wait. I'm looking. I'm like, you know,
yesterday did happen.
We're talking about this whole. Look at this point differential. You know, we do this. We do. You know, that sounds like to me.
Here we go.
Dallas fucking Cowboys. Since Dak Prescott's been in the league with Ezekiel Elliott paired up with them, one of the best drafted running backs probably of all time. Let's be honest. When it comes to that shit team, Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott in that Cowboys offense have been a top offense in the league. I love this. I love it. He's showing his 49ers awards and whatnot from like prehistoric times. It's all good.
Forever ago.
I get
forever.
It. From 2016 when Dak and Zeke were drafted. Okay. I've watched that Cowboys team time and time again, even in the midst of that, us winning a Super Bowl as Eagles fans, have a great, phenomenal offense. We're not going to sit here and say that Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys have just had shit team. No. Their offense has always been a problem. Always. You can look up the stats if you want to. I'm not going to talk about it right now because I know we're short on time. What I'll say is this. Here's the last 10 Super Bowl champions. Kansas City Chiefs. We all know Patrick Mahomes. With who? Travis Kelce, Kadarius Toney, Jerick McKinnon. Come on, man. It doesn't. You don't have to have these high. This point differential shit is different. Okay. Also, let's move on. The Rams winning against Cincinnati. Who the fuck is Cincinnati? It's their first Super Bowl. Come on, man. LA
Yesterday
Rams.
didn't happen.
Cooper Kupp triple crown that year. Led the league in receptions, in touchdowns, and in yards. Okay. Before that, old Tom Brady, Tampa Bay destroyed the Kansas City Chiefs. Are we going to sit there and say that Tampa Bay was just rolling teams? No, they weren't. Let's go even further. San Francisco versus Kansas City. Kansas City, they were that year. Yes, that was Mahomes' best year. Rolling teams. That's MVP year with Mahomes. Rolling, if I'm not mistaken, rolling teams. Keep going. New England, Los Angeles, 13-3. New England was out here rolling teams. It doesn't matter how good. I'm glad you guys are doing great against these teams.
Yesterday didn't happen.
And one of them was us. Yes, to make that point differential. You know, blah blah blah. That's great. It's good. Own it. Have fun with it. Enjoy it. But when it comes down to what matters the most, is that stat at the very end. Are you winning Super Bowl? Are you even getting to Super Bowls? Are you even getting there? Are you getting there? Okay. When you get there, does that point differential matter? And it never does. It never does. But by that viewpoint, the Dallas Cowboys in the past 6 years should have been there like 4 times. They have led the league in offense badly under Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott, big time. With Amari Cooper, with CeeDee Lamb, they have had a high-powered offense. It doesn't work that way, which is why I personally am not worried. I don't think you guys are the best team in the league. I don't know who is, but I can't say with my chest out it's the Niners. I can't say that. You might be, but I can't say it.
Yesterday didn't happen. That's all I'm going to say. Eagles fans, as Kevin always says, Stevie Wonder could even see it. Stevie Wonder could even.
All right, let me go ahead and rally this back in. So,
sorry about that. Sorry.
Well, I mean, Khalil. I mean, let's just mention Khalil's last 2 comments here, because I did respond to his question earlier, and Khalil's reply was, okay then. So if you beat the best team in the league, doesn't that make you the best team? What did Ric Flair say? And I'm so glad he brought up this quote, because I literally used this quote in a story that I wrote this past weekend when a college or a high school football team that I cover for work, they won a NorCal title. And I put this quote at the beginning of my story. What does Ric Flair say? To be the man, you got to beat the man. And the 49ers,
Eagles fans,
they
yesterday didn't happen. Nothing happened yesterday.
And Kevin, one last thing. Kevin, one last thing I wanted to say to Kaz in response to what he said is excellent points were made, especially about those frauds, those Dallas Cowboys. But the difference between the Cowboys and the 49ers is 49ers actually win in the playoffs, unlike the Dallas Cowboys, who might win a wild card game, but they don't do anything after that. So that's the difference, Kaz. Kevin, please get us back on track. I apologize for that, but a lot needed to be said.
All good. I'm happy we had this back and forth, and I wish Garry would have been here, because he would have been able to put the tie to a settle. And after
he could have been wrong again.
Yeah, that's also true. He did choose the Eagles like the team. Could have been wrong again. So this is going to be an interesting one. I think we all might agree here, but I know Toddy's a hater of this team in particular, so I'm going to take it to you first, Toddy. Fact or cap? The Rams are going to make the playoffs.
Wow. So there's 7 teams now, right?
They're 6-6, and their next 5 games are Ravens, Commanders, Saints, Rams, and Niners.
It's doable. 6 and 7 too, because I think they're tied for 6, and they're tied with the Packers right now, like Packers and Vikings, I believe. Or actually, no, the Packers and Vikings. Yeah, I'm gonna say fact. I'll say this a fact. I think the Rams are better than the Vikings as of currently right now. I get the Falcons are in 4th place because they're leading their division. They're at 6-6. They're leading their division. No, yeah, I'll say this fact. I think the Rams have kind of hit, their stride, if I do say so. The Niners have already played them once. I think that was on the road, so we haven't even played them at home yet. So you can chalk that up as a W. But, I mean, Kyron Williams has been playing out of his ass. Puka Nacua, as Kaz mentioned in the NFL recap, has been playing, out of this world. Cooper Kupp has kind of been in and out with injury. But I don't know if it really matters, because the Rams are on a 3-game win streak currently right now. So Matthew Stafford been playing pretty solid. I think McVay has been putting a hell of a scheme together for this Rams team. And, the defense has been playing good enough to win. They only gave up 19 points. I get it was Joe Flacco. But albeit the defense has been playing solid. Now, are they going to go on a deep playoff run? I can't really concur with that, but I do believe this Rams team is, they're not, a couple of years removed from the Super Bowl, so a lot of things they've gotten a lot younger due to that. But I think this Rams team definitely can make playoffs, so I'll say this is a fact.
All right, Kaz, I'm going to bring it to you next. Fact or cap? The Rams are going to make the playoffs.
I would say, looking at the situation, I'm gonna say cap. Reason being, right now, the 6th seed and 7th seed is Minnesota and Green Bay. Then following that is going to be the Rams, 8th seed right now, and the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks, unfortunately, have the harder route to get that final spot if they even get there. They have to play the Niners. They have to play us. I believe they play one other tough match. I'm not really sure who, but Steelers, Pittsburgh, which could be a problem. So Seattle has their work cut out for them. And what stinks is the Buccaneers being 5-7. I know it's crazy. They're 5-7. If Seattle comes out of this stretch with losing to us and losing to San Fran and possibly losing to Pittsburgh, that changes everything. Within those 3 games alone, when it comes to Seattle, I see 1-2. I do. The Rams now on the other end, they have the Ravens, like already mentioned, Commanders, Saints, Giants, Niners. The Niners will be resting their stars by the time I play them. That's a very relevant fact. They're most likely not going to be playing to win that game, and even if they do, they're going to win that game. It is what it is. So, what I'll say is this: look at the Rams' remaining schedule. I see them going 3-2 at best. I really do, and that's tough to make the playoffs when it comes to that. I will say cap. I think that there's going to be a team like the Buccaneers or Seattle actually being a legitimate team, finding the way to get a couple wins, enough wins to get that 7 seed if they're there. And if not, the Buccaneers having the schedule they have, somehow, some way squeaking in. And if it's not them, Green Bay. So I mentioned the Buccaneers for a reason, only because I get it. They're 5-7, but they don't have the hardest schedule. Green Bay, they're making some noise right now. We'll see how that pans out. Seattle having the harder schedule out of all those teams. And then LA, you need to rely on Seattle to literally shit the bed for you to have a shot to make the playoffs. And I don't think that they do. So I'm going to say cap.
All right, Shaun, I'm going to bring it to you next. Factor cap. The Rams are going to make the playoffs.
If you asked me this question at the beginning of the season or even a month ago, I would say that this is cap, just like Kevin Dent Sr. did. However, a lot of great points were just made there by Kaz, one of them being that the 49ers, if things go their way and they do lock up the number 1 seed before they ultimately play the Rams, like let's just say hypothetically, I know you guys don't want to hear this, but in a world where the Eagles lose to the Cowboys next week and the 49ers, they have the tiebreaker over them. Yeah, they would probably need to win the last week, but if the Eagles lose another game and potentially have 4 losses on the season, then the 49ers could be resting their starters by the time that they play the Rams. And as was mentioned, just looking at the NFC standings right now, Minnesota, Green Bay are tied with the Rams and the Seahawks for 6 through 9. I think Minnesota and Green Bay, they'll take each other out. One of them will remain, probably be Green Bay. And then, as Kaz mentioned, Seattle still has to play the 49ers one more time. They still have to play the Eagles. Not looking good for the Seahawks, especially when they kind of just gave away a game on Thursday night against the Cowboys. And so I'm going to say that this is a fact. The Rams would not have brought back Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford if they didn't have plans of doing something this year. And I think that they want to wring out that towel from the Matthew Stafford trade and get every last drop of productivity from him that they can. And that's why, even though it may not be fuck them picks, they're going to the Super Bowl this year, the Rams are going to be pushing for a playoff spot. And so I'm going to say this is the fact. The Rams are going to make the playoffs in 2023.
Definitely, and I'm not going to go for the tie. So factor cap, the Rams are going to make the playoffs. I think this is a fact. We've talked about Matthew Stafford when they have the championship pedigree. We had a factor cap earlier before the trade deadline, asking if they were going to trade everybody and kind of try to get some picks and try to restart and rebuild. The Rams said, "Fuck that." Sean McVay and this team is continuing to show up every night. Puka Nacua is coming in and doing his thing. Everyone thought when Cooper came back, he was going to take him a step back, but he's been stepping up even more. You know, Cooper's been dealing with injuries like we've known for him to do, but Puka's coming in and being dominant. Todd mentioned Kyron Williams that no one thought even that was going to have an impact, but he came in here and night in and night out after his injury, and even before then, there's been a dominant running back. So the schedule that they have, they can definitely go 3-2, like Kaz mentioned, and that Niner game. They're going to realize that they're not going to have a chance with the number 1 seed, so they're going to just take the will, lick the wounds, and kind of just sit their guys. And the Rams win that game. The Seahawks are going to struggle, like Shaun mentioned. The Vikings and Lions are going to beat each other out. So the Vikings and the Packers are going to beat each other out. So I think the last team remaining will be the Rams, and I think they're going to have a good shot at making the playoffs.
All right. Well, that does it for Factor Cap this week. And Kaz, we know that you are out in the Central Time Zone in Iowa, and so you probably want to dip out at this point rather than getting into the college football playoffs with us. So we really appreciate you for joining us. Genuinely, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to having you on next time.
Yeah, man. As always, appreciate you guys. Last statement on this, and I'm moving on. 49ers fans, hey, enjoy it. All right, enjoy it. Talk your shit. Hey, do what you're doing. All right, do what you're doing right now. Right now, and Kev can agree with me. I'm already past y'all. Looking forward to Dallas, and wish you guys the utmost blessings. And I hope to God that you guys have a stress-free week and you enjoy your college football and everything. And all I gotta say is this one last time: just don't see us in the playoffs. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. So enjoy that. I appreciate you guys. Much love to you guys. And once again, thank you so much for having me back on the show. It's always a blessing. It's a lot of fun. So thank you.
We look forward to having you back on. And we look forward to seeing the Eagles and 49ers run it back again for part 3 in the NFC Championship game this upcoming year in 2024. That's Kaz Johnson of Kazzybear TV. You can find him on YouTube. Where else can the people find you, Kaz?
Yeah, man. On YouTube, all my socials are Kazzybear TV. If you're into fitness for whatever reason, I have a fitness page. It's SSJ Kazzybear. That's where I post all of my fitness content. Which is my main thing, which I do for work. But outside of that, yeah, Kazzybear TV, KAZZYBEAR TV, Twitter or X, I'm sorry, Threads, YouTube, whatever you name it. Yeah, you'll see me and you'll see my my big goofy smile. So check me out. And other than that, man, again, I appreciate you guys having me. So
all right, we appreciate you, Kaz. Until next time, thank you to Kaz for joining us. And as we continue here on episode number 66 of Stats Over Politics, Shaun Holko alongside Kevin Dent, Jaevon Toddy, our guy Garry Singh will be back with us next week. Shout out to Kaz Johnson for joining us again this week and taking it on the chin like a pro. So now let's get to the college football playoffs as the matchups have been revealed. The top 4 is as follows. Not the Ohio State Buckeyes, unfortunately. But number 1, the team up north being Michigan. Number 2, Washington, UW. Number 3, Texas, the Longhorns. Number 4, Alabama, Roll Tide. Number 5, undefeated Power 5 champion, the champions of the Atlantic Coast Conference, Florida State. Number 5 on the outside looking in. And number 6, Georgia, the reigning back-to-back defending champions, lost in the SEC title game to Alabama. And with one loss, they are out of it. So it is well documented on this podcast that Kevin and I are Ohio State fans. Jaevon is the miserable USC fan. We will pray for him. But anyways, Jaevon, as the unbiased one on this panel, since your team has been out of it for over a month, just what did you think of this college football playoff rankings, specifically with the top 6 overall, looking at the 2 who were on the outside looking in, but also the top 4 with these matchups between Alabama and Michigan and Texas versus Washington?
I think the committee got it right for the most part. I was kind of, ranting a little bit on Twitter about the playoff and, pretty much what was going to happen and what the outcome would be. I get Florida State, undefeated, Power 5 champion. They won their conference and, they went flawless throughout the year. Now, you could argue on how great their schedule was and their wins were and the strength of the ACC as a total. That's a whole nother conversation in itself. But it pretty much just comes down to what they've looked like the past couple of weeks when their, Heisman Trophy contending star quarterback in Jordan Travis breaks his leg and goes out for the year. The committee basically saw flashbacks of Cincinnati getting in at an undefeated record, and they get curb stomped by Alabama in the semifinal. And they saw when TCU ultimately gets to the national championship to play Georgia and that all-star team and get and proceeded to lose. It was the worst, highest, whatever the score ended up being was like 63 to 7 or 63 to 14. I forget what the final score was. Yeah, it was insane on how bad. It was the worst loss like ever, like in college football history. And that was in the national championship game. So they saw what the potential would be of what that game would look like. Now, I'm not saying that Florida State would lose to that degree and how bad they would potentially lose, because I think Florida State defense is one of the best defenses in the country. Now, on the offensive end, they're abysmal. They're unable to move the ball. I get they're playing with a third string quarterback. Tate Wanamaker was out. Their actual backup quarterback was out. The guy who played in the Florida game, basically their season finale, he was out with a concussion, so they had to go with the third string quarterback, and he basically was only able to put up 16 points against a Louisville team who, albeit is a solid team, but I feel like if Florida State would have won that game, and they would have blew out Louisville 40 to 10, Florida State probably would have been in the playoff. Now, I think that it's stated in the committee rules on how they kind of rank their teams. Coaching and players lost is going to be considered in the actual decision to be made. And I mean, I get Florida State, was definitely had an undefeated season, one of the best teams in college football. They lost their quarterback, and that's kind of what it came down to. I feel like if Washington would have lost their quarterback, or if Jalen Milroe would have been out, or if JJ McCarthy would have been healthy, kind of would have been the same thing. Texas getting in, I think that's they're one of the best teams. The way that they won, they looked very impressive over the weekend against Oklahoma State. Obviously, we knew what it was with Washington, who was a heavy dog going into Friday's game against Oregon. A lot of people were picking Oregon to win that game. They were 10-point favorites, Oregon was, and Washington came out and kind of, handled business. They stood on business. It's kind of the phrase of the week this week. But Michigan gets in there. I think Michigan versus Bama is going to be a tough matchup for Michigan. Kind of sucks for them. I'm not sure if Michigan is the best team per se in the playoff. I think probably the best team is probably Texas, in my opinion. Just off of offense, defense, they have the best. I think they have the best run defense as far as these particular teams constructed. They're top 5 rush and running defense. I think Quinn Ewers has a bunch of weapons on the outside, and Adonai Mitchell and Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy did get hurt in this game, but Steve Sarkisian came out and said that he'll be ready to go pretty much when the playoff starts or whenever things get going for them. But Michigan, I feel like is going to have a tough time against Alabama. Alabama, I did mention on Twitter, or X as we like to say. I basically kind of predicted what the favorites would be before they came out, and then right as they came out, I was like, you see, look, I did the Leonardo DiCaprio. Alabama is a slight dog, probably closer to the game. They'll probably be favored by the time the game kicks off. And I mentioned that Texas would also be favored, and the over will probably be 60 something, and the over for the Washington Texas game is 63, I believe. And I think the Michigan Alabama game is 42 or something like that. So great matchups going on. If you guys want my prediction is Alabama probably upsets Michigan in the 1-4 matchup, and Texas beats,
damn right.
And then Texas beats Washington in the 2-3 matchup, and we see the rematch in Texas versus Alabama. Probably won't give my pick until later when that happens, but there's going to be a hell of a game. So I think the best game will probably be the Michigan or the Washington Texas game. That's going to be a great game.
I completely agree. And Kevin, I don't know about you, but it brought me great joy to see that Michigan reaction video to them finding out that Alabama was the number 4 seed rather than undefeated Florida State without their starting quarterback or potentially their backup quarterback. And so, Kevin, what were your overall thoughts on this college football playoff? if you want to sprinkle in a little Buckeyes thoughts at the end with the transfers and the Buckeyes missing out on the playoff, go ahead. Let's hear from you on your thoughts on college football.
The system is broken. The system is in shambles. I heard it on Get Up this morning. The college football playoffs is becoming figure skating. The judges choose who gets to participate. It's not their schedule. It's not the record. It's the judges. The judges get to see you play 13, 14 games, and we're going to decide who's the best. Not the schedule. We're going to decide who's the best. And like Toddy mentioned, they have nightmares from Cincinnati and TCU. Cincinnati was undefeated. Came in there and got their face beat in. TCU was 12-1, lost in overtime to a Kansas State team, and they still made it in. And it ended up beating Michigan and lost 65-7, like Toddy mentioned. At this point, I'd rather just stop with the rankings every week because they don't stay true to the rankings. So just hold it to the very last week, and we'll just wait to see. Before Saturday was Georgia, Michigan, Washington, and Florida State. Florida State beat Missouri in the championship game with a third-string true freshman quarterback. Let's not act like their starting quarterback tore his ACL, or the second string, excuse me. Jordan Travis, of course, out for the year. But the backup just had a concussion, so he would have been able to play for the bowl games. But the thing that stands out to me, Toddy said it, the committee has it in their rules. If a player gets hurt of significant impact, they're not going to make it. I know we all remember this. 2016, Cordell Jones, third-string quarterback. First game of his whole Ohio State career came in the Big Ten championship, and we made it in.
49.
So is it about the quarterbacks, or is it because they're in the ACC? They are treating Florida State like UCF in 2017 when they went 13-0. They are treating the ACC they're treating the ACC like the AAC, and it's completely a slap in the face. You want these Power 5 teams to go out there and be undefeated and do what they have to do night in and night out, and they're not going to make it in. We have teams like UCF going 13-0, and they're not going to get it. They have the quarterback healthy. They had everything going. Just because they're a lower school, they didn't get a chance to participate. I don't think it's no longer the 4 best teams. I think it's the 4 best things for television, and that's what this was. So it's interesting to see a team like Alabama beat a team like Georgia, who was number 1 in the country for all of 90 minutes all year. They go from 8 to 4. How does that work? Texas goes from 7 to 3. Just, you know what? Hold your rankings. We don't want to see them because they don't mean shit, because Ohio State didn't play and they got jumped because Texas beat Oklahoma State. Really?
Because you guys aren't good enough.
Oklahoma State almost lost to Oklahoma State almost lost to BYU. They beat them by 4 points. Yeah. And Texas gets in. I'm just saying, make it make sense.
Aren't good enough.
Make it make sense. No, the people who aren't good enough are the people who didn't even tune in to the Sunday award show, and those people reside in LA. Didn't even turn it on. Knew the art.
Nobody was talking about.
We got guys. Caleb Williams doesn't even want to play. I mean, Bryce Young played in a game that didn't matter, and he went out there and did his thing. I'm just saying, man, all Heisman players are built different. Now we get to see what he does. Last year, he was all in for a lifelong supply of toilet paper. This year, you don't want to play for a lifelong of Disney Plus subscription. I'm just saying, man, make it make sense. Make it make sense. But he wants to play for the toilet bowl trophy and lost to Tulane. I think his pride's hurt. I think he knows that his team is subpar. And he's like, I'd rather just take the L and watch them lose and say, well, if I would have played. But, you know, he's just going to sit on his mom's shoulder and cry. So we'll see you in the NFL, buddy.
Who do you guys
Not the Disney Plus subscription. Go ahead, Toddy. Sorry. That got me.
Is it Ole Miss? Or you guys play
no, Mizzou. With their great running back that we're going to shut down.
Y'all going to lose that game. Who's the quarterback? Is McCord going to play?
I'd probably
probably. I mean, he's in the transfer portal. Julian Fleming just hit the transfer portal. I doubt either of them play. Marvin Harrison's not going to play. Denzel Burke's probably not going to play. This game is just a glorified scrimmage that happens to be on national television. So, yeah, I don't know.
Well, the one thing I will say to address that question is Kyle McCord would be very smart to play in this bowl game because this is the biggest stage that he will be on for the rest of his college career, or ever, like Kevin said, ever. Because as Toddy definitely thinks there is no NFL in Kyle McCord's future.
There's always Canada, USFL. I mean, there's other routes now. It's not just all NFL. He can go play arena football. He can do whatever he wants. But that Ohio State thing it's sensitive. And like Shaun mentioned, the quarterbacks in the portal are insane. So Ohio State has a high expectation for quarterbacks. And like Toddy mentioned, we've always had a quarterback, and we still weren't able to get it done. So maybe we get a different kind of quarterback in here. We win the games, and next year we'll sit in the playoffs.
Yeah, Cam Ward, he would be a great quarterback for the Buckeyes. Also, there's Riley Leonard, who's out there coming from Duke. I guess he's going to Notre Dame. But just my quick thoughts on this is I do think that the College Football Playoff Committee got it right. Kevin is correct, though, that it's subjective. Like, they choose who they want. They've been trying to say, like, oh, we have this parameter, everything that we've talked about in the past, in the previous years when there's been a debate as to who made it. But to me, they got it right because no one wanted to see Florida State in there. Yeah, there are the people who are going to be screaming from the rooftops who are like, how are you leaving an undefeated Power 5 school out? It's not like they're leaving UCF out, but they're leaving an undefeated Power 5 champion out of the college football playoff. But as Toddy mentioned earlier, no one wants to see Cincinnati all over again or Washington all over again. The last time Washington made the college football playoff. Yeah, Jake Browning. Well, he redeemed himself tonight. But, it's just we've seen plenty of bad games. Notre Dame making it to the college football playoff. We have seen so many bad games throughout the almost 10 years of the college football playoff. And so that's what they wanted to avoid. Would you rather have Michigan likely cruising past Florida State, or would you rather have Michigan versus Alabama, Jim Harbaugh versus Nick Saban? Like, it writes itself. And then in the other matchup, you have Steve Sarkisian going against a place that really put him on the map at Washington. People forget, before Steve Sarkisian went to Toddy's school at USC and became a drunk fool, that he got his start at UW in Seattle for the Huskies. And so there's a lot going into this game, and there's going to be a lot of storylines going into that game. And storylines sell. And you know what else sells? Controversial television. And that's what we saw yesterday on ESPN with the college football selection show, because, and even Georgia being left out. You could argue that Georgia should have been in the top 4, because if we're just thinking about the best 4 teams in the nation, it's probably, and not in any order, but it's probably Michigan, Washington, Alabama, and Georgia. But they probably didn't want to have 2 SEC schools in there again if they didn't have to. And, they got to put Texas in there, because if you're going to include Alabama, you got to put Texas in there just because they have the head-to-head win in Tuscaloosa. And so all of that said, I do think the College Football Playoff Committee got it right, but there's always going to be controversy, and that's why we're moving to a 12-team playoff next year.
Yeah, the 12-team playoff next year is going to be kind of wish it would have happened a year earlier this year, because I feel like there's a bunch of good teams.
USC still wouldn't have made it.
And they won't make it next year. This was their last year to contend. It's big.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Toddy. You've been coming at us all year long. So Kevin and I, we have a lot built up towards USC.
Yeah, we're already looking for guys in the portals, so it's kind of hinting that Malachi Nelson isn't ready. So maybe Malachi Nelson he'll support her as well because he wants to play. So I don't see why he wouldn't.
He gives a chance.
Maybe he might play in the Holiday Bowl. We'll see. But
he's definitely playing.
Yeah, I hope he does.
Well, and peace out to Julian Fleming and Kyle McCord. I'm gonna miss Fleming, but that's just the way that college sports works nowadays. So that's just how it goes. And we will do a full preview of the college football playoff before the semifinal matchups happen on it's New Year's Eve that it happens, I believe. New Year's Day. Okay, so it's coming up at the end of the year or beginning of next year. And so we'll talk about these matchups more in depth when those come up, but we just wanted to give our instant reactions and all of that. Kevin, you have been hanging tough with us throughout this very long episode. tough through all the Eagles slander that we had coming your way, but also you wake up very early, so we appreciate you hanging around for us for this extra hour. And now we're going to close things out with Vonny's hotline. But Kevin, I know you got to get going, so we just wanted to genuinely, again, thank you for being here tonight. I know that I joked earlier that you were required to be here, but you know, you're a grown man. You make your own decisions, and thank you for showing up and being here, taking it on the chin like a pro.
Of course, fellas, because if I would have been here, I would have won. I would have had my Eagles jersey. I would have had the Eagles playing the whole music. I would have been here for all 3 hours. Trust me, I already told Alyssa. I said, we win. I ain't coming to bed till midnight. I'm on the whole time. But, got to take your L's like you take your W's, fellas. But keep making magic, and I will catch up with you guys next time.
All right, there goes Kevin. You're going to be back with Jaevon. I'm going to add you back just for you added yourself back. There you go. Okay, here we are. You going to be back with Jaevon on Friday for
Yes.
NBA episode?
Yes, sir. Of course. We'll be back at 7:30.
All right, everyone will see Kevin back again on Friday. Thank you, Kevin. We will see you then. All right, Toddy, it's now time for our other our other favorite recurring segment that we have every week, and that is Vonny's Hotline. The Hotline, no pun intended. The Hotline is fucking on fire right now. It is hot. You started what was the start, Jaevon? You went 4-2 the first week, or 3-3 the first week, and then the next week.
Yeah. 4-2, and then I think so. But man,
5-1 this past week.
We're just trying to make it happen. With just a kind of quick review on our hits last week. We had Kentucky -5.5. They blew the dog shit out of Miami at home. I think they won by like 25. Lost Kings -2.5. In that they were down by so much in that Clipper game, and they ended up coming back and winning. I fell asleep on that game because I had no hope and thought it was over, and I was like, you know what, we lost this one. Bleak Monk hits
the Warriors game. You mean the Warriors game rather than Clippers.
No. Yeah, it was the Warriors game. Sorry, my bad. But they end up I think they end up winning, but they just don't cover.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the worst ways to lose, because you could have just picked them straight up to win and you would have won. Washington plus 9.5 was the easiest. It was heaven sent, because everybody was on Oregon. People were saying Oregon's going to blow them out. I'm like, well, why is everybody picking Oregon to just blow them out? And why are they a 10-point favorite against a team that they lost to earlier in the year? It just didn't make sense. I get it. Oregon, pretty much after that loss, were blowing teams out left and right for the most part. But they were being very inferior teams. They didn't really play a team that was kind of up to their standards, per se. And I feel like Washington was on that level, and they proved that on Friday night by winning the game outright. And in that sense, they covered the 9.5 points. Bama +6. This was a juicy one. Bama was just one of those teams that, they were also another team that was dogs going into it. But Nick Saban, Nick Saban has never lost in Atlanta. And by when I say in Atlanta, that means he don't lose in the SEC championship game. He don't lose when it comes to those games. So I feel like Jalen Milroe played out of his ass. The Alabama defense was able to put pressure on Carson Beck and able to put him in uncomfortable situations. And I feel like they limited Brock Bowers on several drives, and they were able to get the job done. Jermaine Burton is an NFL wide receiver. A lot of people aren't really up on that, who Jermaine Burton is. He's the wide receiver for Alabama. He's a guy that can really get separation on the edge and is a difference maker for that football team. So Bama +6, that ended up hitting, and it was an outright win for Alabama. So if you just would have took them on the money line, that would have been even sweeter. Chargers Pats under. Talked a little bit about it earlier.
Easy.
Chargers won 6-0, so that was kind of like they won and covered without scoring a touchdown. They were favored by 5.5 points and still covered by only scoring 2 field goals. It's
ridiculous,
insane. But the under was pretty much heaven sent. I mean, that was probably the easiest one on this list. Actually, you know what? I take that back. That wasn't the easiest one on this list. Easiest one on this list was the last one. Niners -3. Went into the stake of the lake, and proceeded to beat the dog shit out of the Philadelphia Eagles by 23 points in The link that was in
That's probably why it stunk so bad.
Yeah. So, we had our boy Kaz and Jaevon. They're no longer with us, but I was asking for the dog mask, and I was tweeting at Kaz throughout the game, and just trying to check his temperature a little bit. But Niners -3 was easy work. I saw someone put like 500,000 on Niners -3 on Sunday, and they obviously hit. So, all right, we're gonna lean on into this week's picks, as we are 14-4. I'm going to start with the first. I don't know if it's the first game tomorrow. It might be, because there are games that happen at the same time. So, North Carolina is traveling to UConn tomorrow. Now, UConn is one of the top teams in the nation. UConn is ranked number 5 currently, and North Carolina is ranked 9. I am not comfortable with picking North Carolina to win outright. Now, I get that they are my favorite team, and the bias in me is trying to poke out in this game. I want to pick them to win on the road, but it's notoriously known that when two teams that are like in the top 10, usually ranked, or teams that are very fairly close, it's hard for the road team to get a victory, especially when it's a non-conference game. So I probably think that earlier in the day, the line was at 4.5 for UConn, and I was leaning towards doing that. But then I saw the line move. Like when the Monday Night Football game kind of started to end, I kind of saw that line move, and I was like, I have to jump on North Carolina plus 5.5 here. I think the game's gonna be close, and it might come down to like a couple of late game free throws to where North Carolina can end up covering the spread. The second game on here that probably I think happens like around the same time is Bucks against the New York Knicks and the play or in-season tournament. I keep wanting to say play-in. It's not the play-in, but it is the in-season tournament. I think the Bucks win here pretty handedly. I have them -4.5, so they should win by at least 5 points here. New York's been playing pretty solid as of late. Julius Randle has been playing pretty well. R.J. Barrett has been playing very well for this New York Knicks team. But I do think Giannis and Damian Lillard figure out a way to get the job done. Confident in them and winning this in-season tournament matchup. I had the Celtics playing the Bucks in the second round, but obviously that's not going to happen. But I do see the Bucks coming out on top of the victory.
Tyrese Halliburton said, no.
Yeah. Next game on this on the hotline is Lakers against. That's the night game for tomorrow for the in-season tournament. Lakers versus Suns. I picked the Lakers to win the in-season tournament. So I'm going to stick with my pick here and pick the Lakers money line. Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. I've mentioned, and Kevin has also mentioned on the Friday show that Devin Booker, in the absence of Kevin Durant, went on a 7-game win streak with the Suns team. I think Devin Booker was averaging like 25 and 9 assists. So, and he even came out and said in the interview, he was like, "Hey man, I'm the point guard. That's my job to get everybody the ball and get others involved for the most part, and still be able to hold his end on the scoring end too." So, the Suns are no pushover in this game. There's going to be a lot of scoring in this game. But I do think that the Lakers will figure out a way in prime time to get the victory, and I'm going to put my trust in LeBron James. So I'm going to go with Lakers money line here. We're going to skip on all over to Sunday. Sadly, college football is over now, and there's not really any
for a couple weeks.
For a couple of weeks until like bowl games start. So there's not really any college football games on. I'm probably going to revert to college basketball picks, so we might do a little bit more hotline picks on Friday for Saturday college basketball, because now it's going to be basically college basketball on Saturdays. But there aren't any lines out for Saturday college sports right now, so got to take what Vegas gives us right now. So we're going to skip on over to Sunday. Texans at New York. The Texans are -6.5 favorites, and I'm rocking with the Texans -6.5 because I do not think there's a snowball chance in hell that Tim Boyle or Trevor Siemian or Zach Wilson, whoever the hell that they send out there, can score the football. Put up 8 points last week. 8.
What about Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers is rumored to return back from injury. I think they opened up his 21-day practice window or whatever that is, whatever that means.
Last week.
Yeah, last week. So they're already in week 2. So obviously the Jets are starting for a quarterback. So if you would have watched this Falcons-Jets game, was another under that would have hit. That should have been. That's definitely should have been on the hotline. I have no idea why I wasn't even looking at that game. Probably because it was so abysmal and no one wanted to watch it. But I have no faith in the Jets being able to move the ball. I just don't see it. Who's going to score for them? It really doesn't matter who the quarterback is. They can't score. So I saw the Texans move the ball pretty much up and down the field in this hot Broncos team, by the way, who had run like 4 or 5 straight in a row, and they made Russ turn the ball over in key positions, and Russ ended up throwing 3 picks. CJ Stroud, and he was able to move the ball pretty much up and down the field without Tank Dell in the second half. So that plays a big factor in that pick. So I'm going to rock with the Texans -6.5. They are on the road. The rematch, the 13-second game. Chiefs or Bills at Chiefs. Chiefs are -2.5 point favorites. Don't know if Taylor Swift's going to be there. I don't know if that really has influence in my pick or not. But I do really like the Chiefs here. In a bounce back stamp. If the Cowboys and Eagles weren't playing on Sunday Night Football, this would probably be the night game. This will probably be the late game CBS window that I'm pretty sure Tony Romo is going to be calling, because he loves to call Josh Allen Mahomes games. He's usually on those type of games. But I feel like the Chiefs do bounce back here. They've kind of been hearing a lot of chirping. I've been one of those guys that's been chirping, saying, "Hey, they're human now. They're 8-4, not at the top of the AFC. Are they going to be at the AFC Championship, or as Nick Wright likes to call it, the Chiefs Invitational? Not sure if they're going to get that number 1 seed here, just by the way that the standings look. And I feel like the Chiefs hear everybody talking, Mahomes, everybody hears everybody talking, and they respond. The Bills are a wounded animal right now at 6-6, and I picked the Bills to win. Actually, no, I didn't. I picked the Jets to win the division, and Aaron Rodgers gets hurt in the first 4 plays. So the Bills were definitely, a lot of people were picking them to win that division. A lot of people were saying that was the toughest division in football. But I think it's going to be a closer game, but I feel like the Chiefs do end up coming out on top. So I'm going to rock with the Chiefs -2.5 here. And then, as Garry would say, waiting all day for Sunday night. Now, we've just had a bunch of diehard Eagle fans here on the show. And
Kaz, look away.
Kaz, look away. Rocking with them boys, baby. I am rocking with them boys on Sunday Night Football. We saw them play a couple of weeks ago. As I already mentioned earlier, how Dak, stepped out of bounds on a 2-point conversion, took a bad sack at the end of that last drive. I think they had a couple of penalties too on that last drive too. So there were definitely a lot of chances for them to win that game, and I felt like Dak Prescott played very well enough to win. So I'm rocking with the Cowboys here. I feel like the Eagles are wounded. We did see Jalen Hurts go out with a concussion injury.
Oh, and Connie's iPad just got a concussion really quickly for our audio only listeners. He has recovered and he is back.
They heard me say Cowboys -3.5. That's Kaz and Kevin trying to punch their way to my living room.
I know they pulled the string to move your iPad.
Yeah, so just going back to the game. I think the Eagles are wounded. We haven't really heard anything about Jalen Hurts, him going into concussion protocol in the end of the game. He ends up coming back. But usually they check for things like that. I think when Brock Purdy got injured, when he went into concussion protocol, he ended up coming back into the game. They ended up getting injured and then, ultimately going through the protocol throughout the week. So I feel like Jalen Hurts should go through the same thing. But I think that the Cowboys, they're on a 4-game win streak. Eagles are coming off a very emotional loss. They've been going through the gauntlet, as Kaz and Kev have been saying. So I feel like they've been going through a pretty tough stretch. And I feel like the Cowboys feel like that they can catch them at home. Now, they are going to be at home here, so I feel like they have the advantage there. They lost an emotional game at the Link earlier in the year, and I feel like the Cowboys are a good enough team to definitely split with the Dallas Cowboys. And I think I called it earlier in the year that they probably would split with the Cowboys. Kev definitely thinks otherwise, that they will sweep the Eagles. They did split last year, if I'm not mistaken, but I do think Gardner Minshew played in that game that the Eagles lost in. So Kevin Kaz probably feel the type of way about them not sweeping the Cowboys last year, but I'm gonna rock with the Eagles minus 3.5 here. That's plus money that you have it at plus 10 or plus 100. So even money there. Cowboys minus 3.5. So to pretty much kind of go over everything, we have North Carolina plus 5.5. We have Bucks minus 4.5. Lakers money line. Skipping over to Sunday, we have Texans minus 6.5. We have Chiefs minus 2.5, and then we have the Cowboys minus 3.5. So, went 5-1 last week. We're 14-4 on season 2 of the Hotline, and I hope you guys I hope you guys win some money. Parlay at your own risk. Please parlay at your own risk.
Parlay at your own risk, because Toddy handed out 5 winners last week, but the one loser that could just tank the whole entire parlay. So, I mean, you've learned by now. Last week, or the previous week, Toddy was 4-2. This week, he's 5-1. He is winning a majority of his predictions every single week. You guys just got to bet each one straight up, and I guarantee, and I know I can guarantee it because the numbers don't lie, stats over politics, I guarantee you will end up on the winning end if you just bet each one of these predictions as a straight up bet, because as he said, parlay at your own risk. And that's going to do it for Vonny's Hotline for this week. Another great week for the Hotline. And are we still going to be on fire by next week's episode, Jaevon?
Got to stay on fire. Let's go.
All right.
Longest episode so far. Pretty decent.
Yes.
Chucky episode.
This was definitely the longest episode that we've had so far, as we get to about 2 hours and 45 minutes here on episode number 66 of Stats Over Politics. Make sure to give us a like on YouTube. It helps us a lot. And if you enjoy the show, hit subscribe to get notifications when we go live. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Stats Over Politics, and on X at Stats or Politics. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on all podcast platforms. And if you're enjoying the show, give us those 5 stars. We'd really appreciate it. As you've been tuned into episode number 66 of Stats Over Politics, for Kevin Dent, Jaevon, Toddy, our guy Garry Singh, and our special guest Kaz Johnson of Kazzybear TV. I'm your host, Shaun Holko. Thank you for tuning in. And Jaevon and Kevin will be back with you guys again on Friday for our NBA episode at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time this upcoming Friday. Until then, we'll see you later on another episode of Stats Over Politics.